Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope you are all doing well. A lot of updates from Manchester United in the transfer window, especially specifically around the striker position. Gyokeres, Ekitike now being linked heavily to Manchester United. So we're going to get into that. Osimhen also apparently has made a full 180 and has apparently come back into our frame. So three big names seems to be on the list at the moment, and it's it's quite interesting. So we're gonna get into all of that and any other news surrounding Manchester United. Before we do, please make sure you smash the like button because it helps the channel grow and we greatly appreciate it. So if you could take your time to do that, it's a massive help. So thank you if you do that. Shout out to all of you. And also, real quick, we are trying to get to 3,500 subscribers. We are on the way. We're at 3,040. So if you're new and you haven't joined the channel and you're not a subscriber yet, then subscribe and make sure you hit the notification bell icon when you do subscribe, so that you never miss a live and you stay up to date and you get the notifications and you hear from the beginning of the show, like Lyle and like Lumen are here. Shout out to you guys. How you guys doing? It's been a couple days since we last talked. I've been trying to keep up with the news. I've been busy, but I think considering that Gyokeres has come back into the news today, I just want to kick things off with kind of how they went yesterday a little bit. So Fabrizio Romano gave sort of a big update yesterday, a lot of detail. Obviously, everybody already knows that, you know, the story came out that apparently Gyokeres is very angry at Sporting because he was supposed to be able to leave for 60 million plus 10 million in add-ons, euros. And apparently that's not the case anymore. And apparently Sporting want 80 million plus 10 million in add-ons. And he's very angry. Now, listen, you know, at the end of the day, real quick before I read what Fabrizio said, just, you know, it's business and these things happen. And that's why you hear people say, make sure you get that sort of stuff in writing, because this is the sort of stuff that happens. It was a verbal agreement. And when you have verbal agreements, people can always go back on their word. When it's in writing, there's legal trouble. So, I mean, you know, lesson for him, I guess. I don't know. But Fabrizio said Gyokeres is angry because there was an agreement between the player's agent and Sporting that the player would be allowed to leave this summer for a transfer fee of around 65 million euros. This was dependent on payment terms, installments, etc. Why this agreement and not paying the value of the release clause? And he then answers, because the player has always been serious and professional. Last summer, he received many offers, but decided to stay. And in January, he had the chance to leave, but decided to stay. Therefore, out of appreciation, Sporting then agreed to let him leave for this reasonable sum. But now, the club is asking for an amount higher than 65 million euros, and perhaps up to 80 million euros. And for this reason, the player may not be happy with the club's behavior, which has made the situation tense. He said, let's see what happens, but I still see Viktor Gyökeres leaving Sporting this summer. Now, that was yesterday. He did follow up with a couple other things, and we also did get some other updates from some other people. One of them was Manchester United and Gyokeres are in contact. We already knew that. We've been in contact. That's been reported. They continued on to say the striker has signaled that he can imagine a transfer even without Champions League. Man United is not without a chance in the bidding for Gyokeres. That's coming from CM Official. We also got one from Record Portugal yesterday as well. And again, the Record is more credible than Ebola, but you still have to be careful with the Portuguese news. They say a lot of sort of, it's kind of like soap opera type of news that they give you. They give a lot of it, so a lot of it can be exaggerated, over the top, not necessarily true. So you got to be careful when these things come out of Portugal. But Record Portugal said Viktor Gyökeres has told Sporting he will never play for them again. The player is ready to go on strike and will not return for preseason. The relationship between the club and player is broken. Manchester United and Arsenal remain interested. And that's because that goes into what we've sort of gotten today, which I'm going to get to. But I think probably, now I don't know where he made this statement, but somebody called Rising Star X has 80,000 followers on X, right? Said that Sporting's president yesterday made the statement, they put it in quotes, and said Sporting will not accept 60 million euros plus 10 million euros for Gyokeres. So he then also said threats, blackmail, and insults don't work on me. I can confirm that Gyokeres will not leave for 60 million plus 10 million in add-ons, euros. I never promised him that. The game his agent is playing is only making things worse. So there's a lot of controversy going on right now. This is taking sort of a very hard left turn. I mean, for a while, it was being heavily reported for months that this agreement was always in place, that he was always going to be allowed for this. The president of Sporting, who with Ruben Amorim transformed Sporting into a winning team and a strong club, and fixed the club, has come out and has basically said that Viktor Gyökeres' agent is playing a dirty game, and this is not true. This agreement was never made. This agreement was not real. Nobody ever did this sort of thing. Nobody ever said this sort of thing. And that this is all Viktor Gyökeres' agent playing dirty games. Could very well be. He could be telling the truth. He could be maybe lying, because maybe he's like, you know, F that. We should be getting more money for this type of guy. Look at the market. Look at what's going on. Look at the sort of strikers that are on sale, and look at the prices that all these other teams are demanding. I mean, even Leverkusen, is it Leverkusen? Even there, you know, they were initially asking 80 million for Sesko. Ekitike is going to cost you anywhere from 80 to 100 million. You know, Osimhen's probably going to run you probably 60 million or something like that. So he could be telling the truth, or, you know, he could have went back on his word because he realized that, hey, we're not going to look like complete jackasses here, letting literally the guy that's scoring the most goals out of every striker in the entire world go for this amount of money. We have a 100 million buyout clause. We should have never agreed to 60 million plus 10 million. The only fortunate thing is that it was a verbal agreement and it wasn't written in contract, so they could go back on it if they really want to. Fabrizio also added on to that and said there was a pact with Viktor Gyökeres' agents and Sporting since last summer to accept transfer fees of 65 million euros plus add-ons this summer. However, they now want more, not 100 million, but more than the 65 million. The situation is now tense. It's certainly definitely taken a huge left turn, because it seemed like, I mean, and maybe this is why people weren't necessarily moving in the manner that I think people expected clubs to be moving for Gyokeres, because I think clubs were contacting, you know, the player's agent, and then they were maybe contacting Sporting to get a feeling, and Sporting was probably telling them, we want 80 million. And everybody was like, whoa, 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 whoa. But the agent has been telling us that there's a deal for 65. So everybody's maybe been a bit hesitant. But Lyle says, don't really like where the Gyokeres transfer saga is headed. Well, I did say last time, when he removed that Sporting from his bio on Instagram, I did say that this isn't necessarily a good thing. This is actually a bad thing. Now, it depends, because if Manchester United actually need money, like if we actually need to sell to be able to do this deal, and this gets held up by this, then maybe it could be good, but it's bad because it's getting more difficult, it's getting more complex, and you have Sporting holding one stance, you have Gyokeres and his agent holding another stance. That sort of headbutting going on can cause major delay in any sort of agreement being done. I mean, this can be dragged out the entire summer up until the last. Whoever moves first, it's a game of chicken. So I didn't think it was necessarily going to develop to this. I kind of hoped that maybe it was going to get straightened out, but it seems to have gotten worse over the past 2 days or so. So, SK says Gyokeres' agent has written confirmation. Jomo says Ekitike is a red herring. And Axelord says, people, I am tired. Well, I mean, yeah, it could be very draining. Could be very draining. Listen, every day it's news, and every day they pull you left, they pull you right, they pull you up, they pull you down. But this is the life. This is the life of a United fan. So we got to deal with it. We got to deal with it. One of the things that came out from CNN Portugal was that Manchester United linked Viktor Gyökeres' agent is currently in a meeting with Arsenal. This was yesterday. And Alfredo Padula then came out and said Arsenal are working to leapfrog Manchester United for Viktor Gyökeres. Now, this seemed to be blown out of proportion just a little bit because the updates that came today kind of set it back, kind of toned it down a bit than the updates that came yesterday that was making it seem like Arsenal have completely 110% turned their attention to Viktor Gyökeres and it looked like they were leading the race. So Record Portugal once again has come in and said Viktor Gyökeres' agent is currently in a meeting with Arsenal officials. Arsenal is the club closest to submitting an official offer. The player believes that Arsenal's project matches his ambitions. Arsenal are about to make an official offer. This, again, was yesterday. I'm going to keep saying this so nobody gets confused. Record also said Viktor Gyökeres' agent met with Arsenal and Manchester United officials yesterday. This was yesterday, so 2 days ago. Both clubs are preparing to present an official proposal to Sporting in the next few hours. And then today, so far what we've gotten, this is all today now. Arsenal have recently made a formal offer to sign Viktor Gyökeres, Man United linked. However, the amount is below what Sporting want. Sporting want a transfer fee in the region of 80 million euros, while the Gunners have shown themselves willing to pay a fixed amount below 60 million euros. We then also got another update saying Manchester United are keeping Gyökeres on their radar and are even ready to make an official offer of 60 million euros fixed plus 10 million add-ons, which is also outside of what Federico Varandas, who is the president of Sporting, wants. To make matters worse, United have encountered obstacles in negotiating with the Swedish international himself. Probably has to do something with wages or something like that for sure. I would assume if he's favoring Champions League and we don't have that and we don't have Europe at all to offer him, I would assume that they're probably going to ask for more money or something to kind of tip the scales in that manner. So Ebola again, as far as I know, they're like the Sun, so take this one with less, seriousness in it than the other ones. But Gyökeres' agent met with Arsenal to hear the conditions and demands for a bid with Sporting. The Gunners take a step forward, but Manchester United and Juventus aren't out of the running. So apparently Juventus are also involved, but I don't think I'm going to be quite honest. I would rank Juventus third in this race. I don't even think they're that serious. I think if anything, it would really be between United and Arsenal. And Record 4 hours ago said Arsenal have submitted their first concrete offer for Gyökeres to Sporting. The offer was presented yesterday at a meeting that took place in Menorca, Spain. The bid is expected to be rejected as it does not meet Sporting's demand. So Sporting holding firm now, and this has thrown a wrench into the, whatever that expression is. I don't remember, but this has definitely taken a huge left turn. It was then followed up by Ebola themselves, while Ebola followed up their own thing and said that the bid from Arsenal has been rejected, however, can be raised. The figures presented by Arsenal were below 60 million euros plus 10 million euros. Sporting received this offer and rejected it. Arsenal are prepared to rise the bid in the coming days. And do we have anything else on Gyokeres? Well, Gyokeres did put out a post, which I saw because I follow him on Instagram. And he put up a story, put up a post on a story about 2 hours ago. And Gyokeres was a picture of a black screen and said, there is a lot of talks at the moment. Most of it is false. I will speak when the time is right. And the latest update, the most up-to-date update about Viktor Gyökeres, 23 minutes ago, is Arsenal remain determined to move forward for Viktor Gyökeres and already preparing a second offer to present to Sporting. Arsenal's goal is to improve the fixed price of the offer and with that exceed 70 million euros. So that is the current latest, all covered on Viktor Gyökeres. Axe says, are we sure on Gyokeres thing? I mean, the team has invested a lot in Rasmussen and now he's going away. Gyokeres has left England once for not performing so well. We are also investing in. I think he will be perfect in the Premier League. I think if he goes to Arsenal and we don't get him, I think we will spend the entirety of next season watching this guy score a bunch of goals and Arsenal performing exceptionally well and just him performing really, really good. I think he will fit the Prem fine. I think he will be totally fine. I think he has the characteristics. I think he has the build for it. He has the speed. He has the strength. And he has the finishing ability as well. So I think he will be absolutely. I think if he goes to Arsenal, I think we will be sitting there watching them the whole entire season, and I think the entire United fan base will be like, we could have had that, and we don't. And if we don't get that, whatever we end up getting, it better be good, because if it's not good. And he's scoring a shit ton of goals at Arsenal, it's going to be even worse. I saw SK, but I don't know. What does that mean? Gyokeres' agent has written confirm. What does that mean? Box is here. Shout out Box. Axe says, how can City be reconstructed so well, picking top tier left and right while we're buying big and sell them soon enough for low prices? Well, I don't know. It's quite simple. I've only been talking about it for a year and a half now. The people at the club, owners, directors of football, technical directors, they just have a better structure. I mean, but the biggest difference, obviously, is we have the Glazers. They want money. And City have owners that they have money and they just want to win. So it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. We only have a little bit of a chance because this structure that we have might not be ideal. But at the same time, it's the closest structure we have to the realest structure we've had in 13 years. We were the only club without a director of football or a technical director for years and years and years. So we were stuck in the past, operating improperly. This is the closest thing we've gotten to operating correctly. And it might still not work out, because just because you do that doesn't mean it works. Sometimes that sort of stuff doesn't work out. You get it wrong. You have the wrong people in place. They're not good enough. It still happens, but it's still the best chance we got because we didn't have it before. So, a wrench in the pipeline. Something like that. Twitter brothers, Swedish Rumble. Okay. All right. Let me go to Swedish Rumble. I follow him, so. Is it gonna pull up the account, or okay. Yeah, here we go. Swedish Rumble. What is he saying? Okay, here we go. 53 minutes ago, Gyokeres' agent claims to have evidence in writing with Sporting promising him to let him go for 60 plus 10 million euros. Now, unfortunately, this is written in a different language and not in English. So, has he translated it for us? He has not. He has not, and I can't read the whole thing because you have to be a subscriber. So let me see if I could translate this part. Viktor Gyökeres' move from Sporting has been seriously infected, but what are the parties arguing about and how long is it? Yeah, so I can't read the whole thing, but I appreciate that, SK. You are right, and there has been an update from that. I mean, he hasn't translated it for us, and it's in, I assume it's in Swedish, or something. No, I don't know. I don't know what language it's in, to be quite honest. I have absolutely no clue, but I can't read this. So, maybe I'll check back in a little bit and see if he gives us a translation for it. He also posted a couple other things. Said, my belief is that Viktor Gyökeres will play for Manchester United next season. And that's coming from Eric Niva. I don't know who that guy is, but apparently he's a tier 1 football journalist in Sweden. So, yeah. Axe says they bought the pawn and turkeys from Lyon for under 70 million, bro. It should have been us, not them. Well, you know, shit happens. So, I mean, let's put it this way. This is what happens. I mean, even if we went for the max, we probably wouldn't have gotten them. So, you know, I mean, if they were interested, if City was interested, which clearly they were because they went for him, I mean, if we got involved, we probably would have lost both. So it's probably why we didn't even we just went for our other targets, because we stayed away from that. We stayed away from that. It's all right. It's cool, SK. Don't worry. Can't you translate page? No, but the thing is that when you click the link that he posted, it's blocked. You have to be a subscriber. You have to pay for access. So I can't get the whole article. And then he put up a picture, but I can't translate the picture because it's a picture. So I can't translate it on my PC. I can't translate it. And he didn't translate it either. So he put it up, but he didn't translate it. And he should translate it, because I mean, people are asking for the translation. So SK says, you a Knicks fan? Absolutely. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. They lost. Search on Google. Bypass paywall. Ask ChatGPT. All right, fair enough. Well, if you give me a second, I'll get it. I'll grab it on my phone. I could do it on the phone, because I could turn on Reader, and it should allow me to get access, because usually I do that for the Athletic articles. So, but that takes my attention away from the show. But I will do it to get the information, since you guys want it. Oh, still didn't do it. They have their thing blocked. Also, this photo he put up doesn't help either, because it's gonna get partially cut off. So I will try and translate it the best I can. So the oh, you gotta be kidding me. Apple doesn't have Swedish translation. You guys are horrible. Google Translate. paste Sweden, detect language, translated to English. So the little I can't get the thing. They have secure blocker to try and unblock the paywall thing, but the little manuscript thing, the little picture, the little paragraph that he put up, it says former coach Ruben Amorim was also clear that no player was allowed to leave Sporting in the 2021 summer window without a buyout. And then it says the players' representatives claim they have proof that Hugo Viana promised in writing that the agreement was for 60 million euros plus 10 million euros. Several Portuguese sources tell Sport Bladed. However, Verandas claims that such a thing is not true. So, yeah. I mean, we'll see. They gotta pick up on it, man. They gotta pick up on it. Somebody's gotta pick up on it. Somebody's gotta pick up on it for sure. ChatGPT. Yes, he left Sporting, and that I did see that somewhere. I couldn't find the tweet because I read that this morning. But you are right, Box. He did leave, and that's kind of been the I guess that's the discrepancy, is that Viana made the promise, the verbal agreement. He left, he's no longer there, and the president is basically saying, I made no such agreement. And, you know, if it's not in writing, which his agent claims that it is in writing, but if it's not in writing, I mean, the president can't do that. So, I mean, the truth will come out, you know, if he has it in writing. But see, but this is what I would say. I mean, if his agent has it in writing, just put it out. Why wouldn't you put it out? Just put it out, just post it. Just post it in writing. Just give it to somebody. Put it out. Let everybody see it. Because if it's in writing and it's true, then Sporting can no longer argue that. And actually, probably be good for his client, because that means that they can stop kind of sort of holding him to ransom, you know? Yeah, he joined City, yeah. Yeah, ChatGPT, yeah, they can't. No, listen. You could get away with it when the Atletico does an article. I do it all the time, but whatever system they got going on, they got something stronger than the Athletic. So, but yeah, I mean, this Gyokeres thing is kind of crazy. But the thing is that apparently now we're also looking at Ekitike, and he's going to cost 100 million. So my thing is, and I mean, I'll go over those updates in like 2 seconds. But the thing is that like when I seen that, my first thought was 2 to 3 days ago, they were telling us to get Gyokeres for 60 mil plus 10 mil, we would need to sell to get some money to get it done. After 2 days of development with this Gyokeres thing, and then now they're asking for 80. And then we get news today about Ekitike. Ekitike is going to cost anywhere from 80 to 100, because that's what they're holding out for. And it's just like, well, now we're in for this guy, and he's more expensive than Gyokeres, and he's younger, and he's less experienced. But we have the money to go and pay even more than that, you know. So it kind of doesn't really make too much sense to me in that aspect. But you know, I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm searching for the update about it. There's also been an update about Marcus Rashford. So, yeah, Pletigol, who's a credible guy, and respected by many, put out today saying that Manchester United have now officially entered the race for Hugo Ekitike. United made contact with Frankfurt within the last 48 hours, expressed concrete interest, and gathered all information. and then wrote price tag is 100 million euros, 85 million pounds. I mean, I think he's a good kid, but he's a kid, and I think for that amount of money and him having this sort of one-off season and playing in the Bundesliga, I think is a massive risk compared to like Gyokeres. I think when you compare it to Gyokeres, it's massive risk for that amount of money, that age, coming from that different league, with that amount of experience. So again, for me, it's always been Gyokeres as number one. I think he fits it the best also because, you know, he's played with Ruben. He's played the system. So those are just added pluses. But to be fair to Ekitike, he does got good speed. He's got good dribbling. And he does have the build that I think could fit in the Premier League well as well. I think he could be physical enough. He's definitely tall enough. So, but will he be able... I feel like if you get Gyokeres, everybody will expect Gyokeres to hit the ground running from the beginning. That would be the expectation. That would be the belief. With him, I feel like it's a lot more uncertain. I feel like there'll be a lot of hope for it, but I feel like there's less of sort of a guarantee that that will happen. It could not go so well the first season. With this sort of move, so I don't really know. Box says 85 million for Ekitike. Well, but this is what I'm saying. So if you look at the strikers currently on the market, and that clubs are searching for, I mean, Sesko, they want like 80 million for him, which I think is ridiculous. But I think it's too much for Sesko considering his goal scoring record. I think it's too much. I think it's too much. But they're asking for that. Osimhen's asking for, you know, his 200,000, whatever, and then you got to pay 60 million plus for him. And then there's Gyokeres, and I just feel like Sporting are looking at the striker market right now, and they're like, there's not that many top tier targets out there. But when you look at all the values, they're all very high. All the clubs are asking for very high, and we're about to give the guy that has scored the most goals in all of Europe for cheaper than all of them. And I think the president is like trying to stop that from happening. So I don't really want to believe the agent because I still stick with Fergie on that. You know, we don't really like agents, and agents are dirty and they do bad things. Even though they do their job for their client, but still they're a pain in the ass. So I don't necessarily want to say I believe him, but I can, as of right now, I kind of lean towards that because I feel like if you're the president of Sporting and you have full control, I think you're going to try and get more money because at the end of the day, you're also voted in and your fans are going to take account to that. And if you sell Gyokeres for the price you sell Gyokeres, which, you know, they accept that he's going to go, but the Sporting fans, they always want to be paid properly, right? That's a huge thing for them. And if you sell Gyokeres for the price that they supposedly were going to sell him for, and then you got players like Ekitike and Osimhen going for more, and Sesko going for more, and they've been scoring less goals and not performing as good, then it's not going to look too good for him as the president of Sporting. So, SK says they just bought him for 13 million. Well, this is what happens. That's insane, though. It's an insane markup, SK. That's an insane markup. Box says we have to get either Osimhen or Gyokeres. That's how I feel. I mean, I've been saying that. I always say that. I think we need the experienced striker. I think we need the experienced striker, whichever one of them. I say I have a preference towards Gyokeres, but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna throw a tantrum if we get Osimhen. I'll be happy with either one. I have a preference, but I'll be happy with either one because I think either one sort of fit the mold of experienced, ready-made striker, which I think at the basic level, that's what we need for sure. I don't really want these sort of younger guys that I deem to be higher risk, and also specifically for Ekitike, 85 million pounds or 100 million euros is a lot of money, and it's a huge risk, and it feels very similar-ish to things we've done before. And I'm not liking that price for that player. I'm not. It feels very, Sancho-ish. It feels very Anthony-ish. It feels very Maguire-ish. And those were, when you go into them, those were different circumstances. But just in terms of, you would be taking a bigger risk than all of those players. You'd be taking a bigger risk, and I think you'd be completely overpaying, because I mean, even for this, he was bought for 13 million. And you're gonna go after one good season, one decently good season in the Bundesliga that doesn't have defense, and you're gonna go pay 85 million. I think it's a bad move. I think it's a bad move. SK says, by the way, the Knicks are trash, bro. They're not trash. They're not trash. I mean, they did it all right. Listen, for a team that hasn't won since like the 80s or something, they did all right. They did all right. They messed it up. They bottled it for sure. They bottled it because they shouldn't have lost that first game. And if they didn't lose that first game, they probably would have been all right. But they probably would have been able to get it done. But yeah, shit happens. We go again next season. It is what it is. Little blue pills. Oh, we don't need any of those. Everything works perfectly fine. We don't need little blue pills. So one of the things, though, also, because we were just talking about Osimhen, so one of the things that we got was an update about Osimhen as well. This came from Graham Bailey, saying that Manchester United have continued conversations with Viktor Osimhen's camp. Sources close to the player insist he would already be in Saudi Arabia if money was the most important thing to him. Well, I mean, it's kind of a fair point, because he does have the offer there for Saudi Arabia. And he hasn't gone there yet, and he's still holding out. So, is it the most important thing? Maybe not. Is it important to him? Obviously, because, he's been holding out for it. I don't judge him for that. To each their own, try and get your bag or whatever. I'm not going to try and take money out of people's pockets or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, right now it's interesting because this sort of three-headed beast that's going on right now. I mean, I can't even really tell at this moment, which way it's actually gonna go. I think it's too early, and everything is sort of too vague at the moment. So yeah, it's difficult right now. I think we're gonna just have to wait it out and see how things develop. But I did hear that, because Arsenal's been being talked about heavily with Gyokeres, but I did hear and I did see that Arsenal are still in contact and still negotiating for Sesko, and the negotiations aren't going bad. They're actually going good. So I still feel like they'll end up getting Sesko, but I think this sort of thing with Arsenal jumping in is kind of to dilute the pool a little bit. It's to dilute the fact that they're there for Sesko. They're kind of trying to show them that, like, hey, we're not going to be held to ransom. We will go and make a move for this other guy if you guys, start dicking us around and stuff like that. And it's kind of basically them saying like, hey, we got options. Like, we don't need to do this deal. So don't even try and like, because I don't think Arsenal want to pay anywhere close to 80 million. I don't think that they think that that's a fair value. I don't think it's a fair value. I wouldn't want United to pay 80 million for Sesko. No way in hell. So I kind of feel like right now they're just kind of, in a sort of way, they're kind of teasing. But I still think that, considering that, Arteta wants Sesko, I still think that unless something goes wrong, I think they'll end up getting Sesko and they won't end up getting Gyokeres. But we gotta see how that goes. Obviously the new kit has come out as well. I'm sure all of you saw that. I mean, I'm be quite honest, it looks good, but like it looks sort of similar to the one we just had this season with slight minor updates to it, and it kind of has a throwback to I don't know what year that is, but what year was that? Like an 05 or 06 or 07, something like that. Or maybe like 04, something like that. It kind of feels like, I tell you, like the kit the home kit kind of feels like an iPhone, like a new iPhone. Like it's kind of the same with some minor updates, nothing like major, nothing big. It really looks sort of the same. But I think the away kit and the third kit should be different, if I remember correctly. So maybe those will be more fire than the home kit. Axe says I haven't seen it. Okay, I got you. Let me grab a screenshot of it. That's a shitty picture too. Like, why? Can I get you one with Cunha wearing it? Let's bring it in. Here you go. Give me this. This. Whoa. I resize it. There you go. That's what it looks like. Box says they're very lazy now with regards to designing new kits. Well, I mean, back in the day, Box, they used to release a home kit every 2 years. I mean, they wouldn't even give it to you. They wouldn't even do it every season. Now you get 3 new kits every season. So, but I just think, the designing has been quite lazy, in my opinion. I think they could do a better job. I actually prefer Nike designs over Adidas, but that ship has sailed. When Nike was our shirt sponsor, I think all our shirts were absolutely fantastic. I think a lot of the Adidas ones, or Adidas, I think a lot of them have been very miss. Some have hit, but I think some were big misses. So, Box says it's all about the money. Well, yeah, I mean, today's day and age, Box, isn't everything all about the money? It's always about the money now. I mean, it's kind of always been about the money, but there used to be more values. There used to be more things than just money. Now it's really like 99% all money, which is unfortunate. So, no problem, Max. There was a couple other updates that we need to get to. One here about Rasmus Højlund. Since we're talking about strikers, let's talk about Rasmus. Rob Dawson, ESPN, saying Manchester United are yet to make a decision on Rasmus Højlund's future, with all options on the table. His representatives had conversations with the United Chiefs last week about their plans for him. So, I mean, there's been talk that Inter want him seriously, like they want him. Again, it's like, well, I know there's many people out there that are screaming, saying, sell him, sell him, sell him. And I'm like, okay, that's, you know, you want to sell him, fine. I'm not arguing him to necessarily stay, but I still hold the opinion that I would like to have two strikers. So I don't, I'm not against him staying as long as we get another striker and he's not the main guy. I feel like if we sell him and we get one striker, yeah, they'll be better than him. Because, you know, if it's Gyokeres or Osimhen or whatever, they'll be better than him for sure. But I just feel like we'll still kind of be in a similar situation as we'll have one actual striker. And I think we need two. I think we need two. I would like to have two. Two would make me feel better about the squad overall as a whole throughout the season. So, I don't know. But there's been an update about Marcus Rashford as well, saying that Manchester United have suffered a major setback in their bid to sell Rashford, as his desire to join Barcelona has resulted in the club deciding they would prefer to only pursue a loan deal if they have scope to do business in the final days of the summer transfer window. I'm telling you now, I mean, I'm not telling you now, I've been telling you this for a while. This thing is going to be one of the biggest pain in the asses the entire summer. I mean, if we go back 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think me, Box, and everybody else, everybody was making lists, and they were like, you know, you don't have to sell Bruno, put Rashford, Anthony, Sancho, this player, this player, this player. That's, you know, 175 million, and then you can spend it on this. And within the span of 3 weeks, that amount of money has gotten absolutely smashed to bits by a hammer, because what's going on with Rashford, this doesn't look good, and it's not leaning in a good way. I mean, he is 110% obsessed with Barcelona, and Barcelona are basically like, they're basically like a dude with like 7 side chicks. Like, they're not that super interested in him. It is like his dream to go there, but they're like, yeah, we kind of like you, but like, we'll see how it goes. You know what I mean? Like, you're not like that much of a priority for us. You're not really that interesting. We could take you. We kind of like you, but you know, we're not in love with you. And this was always my fear, because he had the same thing happened in January. He left the last day, or second to last day of the January transfer window, because this guy was sitting on 3 offers waiting for Barcelona to figure their shit out, which they weren't able to do, and that's why he ended up going to Villa at the end. Now, it's probably going to repeat itself, and he's going to be sitting here, and also, you know, at the same time, I mean, he's aware that United need money. United want the money from his sale. He's considered pure profit, so if you get 40 million for him, it's basically 80. He's aware of that. He doesn't necessarily, according to his words, well, not his words, because he said that he would go, but also he kind of feels like he doesn't want to go, which is, he's been confusing about that. So this guy's going to sit here all season. We've lost 20 million from Sancho, because I think Sancho, we're not going to be able to sell him. We're going to have to loan him out. He's in the last year. He's going to be in his last year of his contract, and he's going to run that out. And I don't think anybody's going to come and buy him. So we got 5 million for Sancho. This thing with Barca, where he only wants Barca, and we want to get rid of Rashford, and we don't want Rashford there. Well, again, in this situation, and some people will say, you know, destroy his career, whatever, you know, put him in the reserves, and that's fine. You can threaten them with that, but also at the same time, it's another game of chicken, because United need to get rid of him. United want the money. He is done at this football club, and he can sit there and say, I will not go to any other club. I only want to go to Barcelona. If anybody puts in a bid, I'm going to reject it. I'm going to sit here. And United can try and say, we'll throw you in the reserves or whatever. But we still don't win if we do that. Even if we do that to him, we don't win. Because we don't get money. He'll still be at the football club. We still have to pay his wages. So it doesn't work for us in that sense. He still holds more power than the club itself does, unfortunately. Sancho is the same, because he doesn't have to agree to anything. Plus, I think there's obviously less interest in him in terms of somebody actually wanting to buy him. But he doesn't have to do anything either. Then there's the Anthony situation as well. And there was updates about this yesterday, so I just want to read that out. Apparently, Real Betis are going to make an offer for Anthony. And Real Betis are going to make an offer for Anthony. That came from the Muppeteers. And also, Real Betis are in negotiations with Manchester United to keep Anthony for another season following a successful loan spell. Betis are facing financial limitations for a permanent transfer and are exploring an extended loan deal that includes a loan fee and shared salary obligations. That's not ideal for us either. That's barely any money. Sure, we'll save a little bit, but it's not. When we made our list, we said 40 million for Anthony, 40 million for Rashford, and 25 million for Sancho. We're getting nowhere near any of that at this current moment in time. With the things that are being reported, we're getting nowhere near that amount. We're getting nowhere near 100 million. So this isn't going well on this side. And I don't know what Ineos got to do to try and figure this out, but they need to do something, because this is a big part of the window and it's going to have a big impact on us. And I think our biggest problem, I mean, we've had problems on both sides. We had problems buying players and we had problems selling players, but I think our worst problem has always been selling players. And clearly, we are still stuck deep down in the shit trying to get rid of the players that we don't want at the football club and trying to get a decent amount of money to use it to get new players in. So, it is a problem. It is a big problem. Baba is here, says GGMU guys. What's up, Baba? Chad's here. What's up, Chad? Box is always the same with United, frustrating. Well, listen, I mean, things aren't going to change overnight, and you got to try. And this is what I'm saying. They got to try. They got to try and do something. They got to try and figure this out. But listen, a lot of this shit that they're dealing with, again, it's not on them. I mean, they didn't sign Anthony for the money that we signed him for. They didn't give Rashford the contract that Rashford has. They didn't sign Jadon Sancho. You know, they have nothing to do with this. This is a mess that they're trying to clean up, left from the people before them. And the people before them have completely screwed them. I think, really, the mess that was made for them, I think if you get any top-tier people, you know, even if they're ranked top 3 in the world, and you can get them from any club and you throw them in there, I think they would still struggle. Because I think the deals of the past have essentially tied the people of the future or the present, has tied their hands 100%, both hands behind their back, and it's not an ideal situation in any sort of way. So Lyle says, I am expecting, or rather hoping, that once the true window opens, then we will see some sales happening. Well, I hope so, and that could be a possibility. I mean, once the real window opens, you would hope that maybe things start rolling and things change. You know, at the current moment in time, it's not looking great, and it's not looking not looking real hopeful right now. But again, you know, as you pointed out, Lyle, like, you know, the real window hasn't even really opened, and it's still early days. You know, it's only June. It's only June 12th, so there's a long time left. I'm sure things are going to change over time. Hopefully, we can figure something out with Anthony. Hopefully, something happens good with Sancho. Maybe somebody actually does want to buy him, and we're able to do that. And hopefully, Marcus Rashford isn't here in August. You know, that's one of my biggest things. Like, I don't want to see Rashford, Anthony, and Sancho still here while we're on preseason. I don't want them part of the club in any way. They shouldn't be here by that time. You know, they should be gone already. They should definitely 100% be gone. So, Baba says sell to Villa for lesser value. 35 million will do since Villa already paid some loan fee. And Box says Rashford doesn't want Villa. Yeah, again, the problem, Baba, with that is you like, you know, they could get me on the phone and I could call a Villa and I can say, Villa, we will literally offer you Rashford. You give us £1 million for Rashford. And Villa will go crazy. They'll start throwing a parade. But if Marcus Rashford, if they pick up the phone and they call Marcus Rashford, and Marcus Rashford says, I don't want to go to Villa, and hangs up the phone, what do? What you know, what does United do and what does Villa do? There's literally nothing you can do. You can't force him. You can't be Suge Knight, take Rashford, hold him upside down over a balcony, and make him sign a contract. You know, it's illegal, number one. But two, also, like, nobody's crazy enough to do that. Only Suge Knight is. But, like, yeah, there's just nothing you can do. Like, we could literally tell Villa, we'll sell you Rashford for 10 million. And if Rashford tells them, F off, I don't want to go to your club, I want Barcelona, there's nothing United can do about it, and there's nothing Villa can do about it. So everybody's pretty much screwed. And this is kind of the problem that we have. And, you know, maybe there would have been more options for him, and maybe he would have decided to take another one, maybe. But the fact that he has, and maybe Barca would have been more inclined if he didn't have the wage he had. I don't think they like the discussions that they've had with his agent. You know, who knows what they're asking for, but I'm sure that they're probably still demanding some sort of a high wage because it's brand Marcus and, you know, MR10, and we got to get, you know, the most out of it. And I don't think Barcelona are really buying into that. And that's why they're kind of like, you know, we would like to have you on the team, but like, we're not like going to go all out crazy for you. And we got some other priorities actually ahead of you. So, you know, we'll get to you when we get to you. And if we can do something, we'll do something. But other than that, you're kind of just going to have to sit around and wait. I think it's quite crazy that Rashford is willing to just sit around and wait. You know, I actually think it's a really bad move on his part. Again, I think probably the people around him, once again, bad decision making, and they're letting him down. I don't think they're advising him and doing things for his best interest. Because for me, his best interest would be go somewhere that's a good team and play football. Play football, be a starter, or whatever you got to do. Get back into England, play football, and finish out your career. But that doesn't seem like it seems like they're positioning the brand because Barcelona, like, you know, top tier name and history and stuff like that. We can only go to Barca. We can only go to Barca because everywhere else is a step down. If you leave United, even at our current form, if you go to another club, the name is less, the attention is less, everything is less, except for, you know, maybe performance and position. But everything else, eyes and all that, commercialism, branding, all that stuff, everything is less. The only one that kind of matches that would be Barcelona because they're historic, you know, legendary club. But everywhere else that he could possibly go, in terms of name and status, it's a step down from Manchester United. And it just seems like it just seems like that they're just like set on it's Barca or, you know, we'll figure it out at the end. And I just don't think that it'll happen. We should be in Saudi networking, try and offload people. I mean, we should, but I agree, Box. I just when I every time I keep thinking now, I'm just like, but what stops every single player from doing what's already happening? Where they're just like, I have a contract, I'm in control, I'll do as I please. You can you can go waste a week and a half in Saudi Arabia. Go to Saudi Arabia or pick up the phone, waste a week and a half networking in Saudi Arabia. And if they don't want to go to Saudi Arabia, and they tell them, no, I'm not going there. I want to go to this specific club. What do we do about that? What do we do about that? Because if they were on, like, if Rashford's wage was in half, it's still a good amount of money for regular people like us. But the fact that he's getting paid around $300,000 a week, it puts us in such a weak position to try and force him to make a decision and get out. Sancho obviously just has he's just bitterness all around. He hates our football club. And he's not going to do us any favors. So, I mean, there's no point in even trying with that guy. I mean, he's going to do as he pleases. And he's going to do, he clearly wants a payday as well. He clearly wants the wage that he's still getting. That's why he didn't end up in Chelsea. I mean, he had an opportunity. Chelsea are in the Champions League. He was already there. They gave him a contract. He had an opportunity to take that and play football and be part of a team that's actually performed pretty well, and next season is looking, promising for them. And because they didn't want to match the money that he was asking for, he's thrown that whole chance in the bin. And now he's kind of just like, I'll go on loan somewhere and just collect my paycheck, go play football somewhere else. I don't have to do the football club any favors. The only one that is sort of in somewhere that's in a kind of decent spot is Anthony, because Anthony's not necessarily doing things that's like gonna fuck the club. The only thing is that the situation is that Real Betis apparently, they keep saying they don't have money to do this deal and they want a loan, but I feel like the way he's played and the way he's performed, he's probably the best option we got to be able to actually sell, because I feel like there's actually some other clubs that would be interested the most in him, considering his performance and his wage. So, NSK points out as well, Villa has PSR issues, which I keep forgetting, but they do. You are right, absolutely. Axe's only solution, revive Rashford. Not at our football club. Not at our football club. He's dead at our football club. Yeah, he's done. Felix Nemeka joined Man United. I don't know. I didn't see anything about that, Ismail. Not sure. If you've seen something somewhere, like a story or something, you could tell me, where you seen it. I'll go check it out. SK says, does Marcus realize Barca have Yamal on the right, Rafinha on the left? Where does he play unless they shift Rafinha into 10? Well, that's been something that people have been saying too. But again, when you don't have good people around you, SK, and you have people that sort of, fan the flames of your ego, and again, there's nothing wrong with having an ego. All these players have egos. You have to have an ego to be a professional player. You need to believe that you're the best. You need to believe that you can do these things. Otherwise, you would never reach the level that you've already reached. I mean, you have to have a bit of an ego, but at the same time, you have to have people around you that are real. You can't have a bunch of people that are yes men, and you can't have a bunch of people that put their what's best for them over what's best for you, because the people around him including his agent brother, stand to make a good amount of money if he goes to Barcelona over if he goes to a smaller team like a Villa, but obviously can't go to Villa, but like a Villa or something like that. It just in their eyes, it just doesn't hit the same. But we've seen this before with Marcus. I mean, how many times has it been a poor PR piece or poor decision or poor timing to make a statement? This is all the people that are around him that have him do these things. And Marcus trusts them and he listens to them. And they probably tell Marcus all the time that he's the best player in the world, that, he'll go to Barca and he'll start. And, how can you not start? You're better than all of them. And he probably trusts them based on the relationship. I don't know. But it seems like he listens to them because at the end of the day, Marcus Rashford has the power because they work for Marcus Rashford. So if Marcus wakes up one day and goes, I'm tired of this shit, I don't want to do this, and I think this is the wrong decision, and I want to do this, they can bitch and moan and cry and try and convince him all he wants. But if he puts his foot down and says, I'm taking myself in this direction, their job is to help him do that. That's what they're there for. But he's not doing that, so he's buying into whatever they're telling him. And he believes whatever they're telling him. And I would probably say they're probably telling him, you can definitely be a starter at Barcelona, for sure, because you're that talented, for sure. And you'll get into the team. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile, they probably have ulterior motives because they're like, the brand will do the best there. But they're probably telling him, yeah, you're good enough to play there. You'll take, Rafinha's not competition for you, blah, blah, blah. It's like dumb shit. You know. Yeah, this is a good point by SK. Elias says Rashford has surrounded himself with the wrong people. Having his family involved is a massive mistake. His brother does not know what he is doing. Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, sometimes it works out. But again, with life and everything like that, sometimes it doesn't. There's people that have, their father is their agent. Goes well because the father, looks out for the best for his kid and, does the right things and, it works out. And then sometimes you have a situation like this where your brother is your agent, and he might not have the experience, and you might have some other people around you, maybe some other family members, and they, it happens where it's like, if you're one of those people, a lot of times you try to stay in the loop. How do you stay in the loop? Just make the person that has the money, the person that's bringing you along for the ride, just keep them happy. Tell them what they want to hear. Tell them, don't cause problems for them. Don't, make arguments. Just try and be this sort of positive person around them, which is, it's fake positivity. It's not real. They're not being real with them. Like, the people that care the most, they will tell you things that they know you're not going to like to hear. They know that it's going to upset you, but they tell you because they actually care about you. Whereas these other people, they'll just string you along and keep going because they only care about you because of what you're giving them. And if you weren't able to provide them something, they wouldn't be next to you all the time that they've been spending, which is, I feel like, what's been going on with him. So I don't know all the people around him. I know his brother's the agent. I think I kind of sort of agree with Lyle. I mean, I don't think his brother really has, his brother wouldn't be an agent for any player if it wasn't for Marcus making him an agent for him. So he's probably not the best at that. You know what I mean? He's not the best at that. Axe says, we sold my boy McTominay for approximately 30 million euros. Now he's worth 100 million. No, he's not worth hundreds of millions. Italy don't even have money. They don't have money. You see what Theo Hernandez is going. for at AC Milan? 30 million. 27-year-old. 27-year-old. They're selling him for 30 million. If they get rid of Leao, he ain't even going to go over 70. Italy don't have money. He's not worth hundreds of millions. He's not worth hundreds of millions. X said, if only I had $1 billion, I would have bought my childhood club in Romania, and then I would have bought Sancho, Anthony, and Rashford for $309 million. Well, if you did that, though, you know, so some of that money might go to the Glazers Act, so I don't know if you want to necessarily do that, you know what I mean? Yusuf says, I want Mateta over Gyokeres. Fair enough. Fair enough. I think there's quite a few people out there. I mean, a lot of people were hating on Gyokeres the other day. Good amount of the United fan base I've seen. I rate Gyokeres over Mateta. I would, but I don't know. I think he's a good striker. I've always preferred Gyokeres. Liza says, drop a like, subscribe, get in the Discord. Yes, if you're not in the Discord and you want to join the Discord, click that link and you will join the Discord immediately, and we will welcome you. We're in there all the time, having chats offline, keeping you updated with the news and stuff like that. And we got some other channels in there that doesn't have United related that are fun, topical stuff. But it's a good way to connect with, you know, the community in the chat. You don't have to do it here. You can do it at any time of the day, and you guys can talk about anything. And you can do it without me as well, because I'm not always available. But you know, and most of us are on a different sort of time scale. You guys are, you know, ahead of me. So when you guys have free time and you're chatting away, I'm usually working. So, Tio says, "Hello guys. You think Cunha can play number 9?" Yeah, he probably can, but I don't know if I would. I don't know if I necessarily like that or prefer that to a certain extent. I think if you needed him to, Theo, I think if you needed him to, I think you can play him there for sure. He's played center forward, so I don't know. You want to argue that's 9, whatever. I mean, he's played striker a couple times and stuff like that at one point, so you can do it. I don't think it's ideal. I think that's sort of doing something like playing Cunha as 9 is kind of like it has vibes of like when we made Valencia right back. Like, it's not the same in that like dramatic difference. It's not like that dramatic, but like it just gives vibes of like we should just have two actual strikers, you know? Like Gyokeres only plays striker. Like he's only going to play striker. Ekitike only plays striker. He's only going to play striker. Rasmus only plays striker. He's only going to play striker. Having like one striker and then say, well, we could just use Cunha in and out. That, to me, it just makes me feel like, you know, making Valencia right back or making Ashley Young left back. Like, don't do that. Just go and actually get a left back, like a real left back, or go get a real right back. In this case, go get a person that plays striker. Like Cunha was bought for the 10. We want to play him 10 as many times as possible, as often as possible. I don't really like the whole thing of like, wow, you know, we could have one striker, and then if we need, we can use Cunha as a striker, and we shift people around. Like, I know Amorim does, that's what he wants, and that's what he would like to do in terms of just having multiple positional players, but I would prefer if Cunha can play the position that he was bought for, and that we don't have to do sort of this thing that we've been doing at United forever now, where we try and take a player that is really good at one position, and that's their position, and we try and use them in another position because they kind of work there, or they kind of can do it, and then it's kind of not that good. Why sign Cunha first? Is he the most important of the signings? Well, it's a good question. Maybe and just maybe, I mean, I think they're all sort of. I think they're all sort of important. I think you would have to ask Ruben because it is his plan and it is his idea, in combination with the club. You would have to ask him who he thinks is probably the most important. But maybe, just maybe, the cynical part of me says it was probably the easiest one to do, and that's why we did it first. Because as you see, Mbumo is taking a little bit, even though it hasn't been that long, but like, we actually have to negotiate. And it's been a little bit of a back and forth, and we're still waiting for the second bid, and we're waiting for all that. And you see what's going on with like the likes of the striker in Gyokeres and Osimhen, and whoever else. I think one of the reasons probably was with Cunha and Delap, they both had buyout clauses. There was no negotiations. They were ones that you pay the money, you get it done with, and you do it fast. So I think in terms of a bit of cynicalness from me, in terms of optics, you would go in there, you'd buy both of them for the buyout clause, and everybody would be like, look how fast United are doing. We've already done 2 deals, and we've already signed 2 players. Meanwhile, it's because they were the 2 of the easiest ones, because you don't have to negotiate with the club. You just negotiate with the player, which usually goes fairly good, because that's usually never the problem. The problems come with the club most of the time. The other club, the selling club. And it drags it out, and it takes a long time. So I don't know, I don't know if they were like, we got to get Cunha because he's the most important. We got to make him the first signing, as so much as like he's one that's there, it's available, it's easy to do, and we could just go ahead and do it. And kind of just get it over with. So, Elias says Cunha was the easiest to get looking at. What we need, prem proven with the release clause. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, it just smells a little bit of PR-ish to me. Like, I don't think the signing itself was like, it wasn't like we signed Cunha because he'll sell shirts and he'll get hype. I think like they actually really wanted him, but in terms of why they moved for him first, it was probably just like they sat down, they looked at it, and they were like, this guy has a release clause. Delap has a release clause. These 2 deals are the easiest to do. Let's start with these. That way we'll have 1 to 2 under our belt. And then when we go for the other players, those are going to drag out a little bit more. They're going to be a little bit more difficult. But it should buy us positivity. It should buy us time and patience from the fans, because they should be a little bit more encouraged that we signed 2 players already. Now, obviously, when I say 2 players, they were counting on Delap. That didn't go the way they wanted to, so we only have 1, and potentially Mbumo, but Mbumo is still taking a bit because we have to negotiate with Brentford. So, and Brentford are holding out for the money, and we're trying to pay the least amount of possible, and it's just not straightforward. So, Grace is here, says, hear me out, Danny Ings. Oh boy. I don't like when the chat starts doing this. Next Lines is going to come in here and start talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. No Danny Ings, no Calvert-Lewin, no, none of that. They could all go Danny Ings, Calvert-Lewin. They could go to Southgate's house, and they could have one big party together. But stay far away from Manchester United, please and thank you. What about Nketiah? No, I don't like him either. I honestly, I tell you, probably right now, I would be looking at Gyokeres, Osimhen, Ekitike, and Mateta. I think those 4 probably the quality that we probably need. Ekitike, not my. I would probably put Mateta over Ekitike at this point. But yeah, these other guys, they ain't hitting that. They ain't hitting that level. Baba says maybe Arsenal was closing in on Cunha deal. That's why we move fast. Well, that is a possibility too, because they were sort of they were linked and they were sort of interested, right? And you know, again, since there was a buyout clause, I mean, any team just had to put up the money, and you know, you're pretty much good. You go into negotiations with the player, and maybe we had to show, you know, it was a little bit in our pocket because I mean, Cunha, like, let's just put this. Let's just put this a little bit into perspective here. So, like, where is the thing that I need? Because Cunha actually made a statement. So, like, let's put it right. So so Cunha said, ever since I was a child in Brazil watching Premier League games on the TV at my grandmother's house, United was my favorite English team and I dreamed of wearing the red shirt. All my focus is now on working hard to become a valuable part of the team and helping get this club back to the top. Now that could just be pure, you know, PR. I mean, they always sort of say something like that. But I mean, we've known before. I mean, he said this sort of thing last summer and he wasn't even going to leave Wolves. And he's always kind of said that United was always his favorite club growing up. He was a fan. He loves the club. So that's also another thing. I mean, it was probably the easiest deal we could have done. It has a buyout clause. He's a fan of the club. So I just think it's kind of an open goal. You have a player like that. You go do the deal. It's easy. It's quicker than everything else. And you present that to the fans. And he's a good player as well. And he's one that many people like and wanted. And you present it to the fans and everybody gets happy. And there's positivity. And then, you know, there's more patience for when the struggle is going to come. Because they know that, you know, there's going to be a struggle. Like what's going on right now. Right now, we are struggling to figure out the striker situation. It's sort of a mess. It's sort of all over the place. And at the same time, you know, the thing with Brentford is kind of dragging its feet a little bit. Even though it hasn't been that long since Mbeumo has made his decision that he wants United, it's still been, you know, the past few days it's been sort of slow in that aspect. There hasn't been any real significant movement in that end. So X says good night. Well, all right, let's see you. Good night, buddy. Now there was something else that I want to bring in here that I saw the other day. Somebody said, who is this? Fabrizio Romano. So this was on Rashford as well. Fabrizio Romano said Marcus Rashford's transfer probability to Barcelona is 40%. Putting on putting on percentages now, Fabrizio. He said, why only 40%? Because until this moment, there are no official negotiations between the two clubs. Rashford is one of the options on Barcelona's table. He is a player the club values. They wanted to sign him last January, but Ansu Fati decided not to leave at the same time, so the deal did not go through. Manchester United asking for 40 million. This was yesterday. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes with Fabrizio. Excess PR bullshit by Cunha. Well, it could be, but at the same time, I mean, he has been I mean, he said this. He said things about his love for United over a year ago, with one of his friends videotaping him. So, I mean, it could be, but also, if you're saying things from a year ago and you've been wanting to come to this football club, then I think he's actually really wanted to come to this football club for a while. So, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that like PR. I don't think it's that much bullshit. It's actually a lot more believable considering, you know, the things he was saying over a year ago. And usually just when you sign a player and they say this is the dream. Almost says, hello, mate. Would you take Sancho Rashford out on loan? We get no money. Yeah. I mean, I would, because I don't want them at the football club. So, worst scenario, yeah, gotta take him out on loan. Worst scenario. I think with Sancho, we're gonna have to do it anyway. With Marcus, I would like to get money. But with Sancho, I think once that Chelsea thing went sideways, I just feel like with the situation that it's at, that, he wasn't that, he wasn't like Anthony at Chelsea. Like, it wasn't like Anthony levels. He did all right, I guess. He did all right at Chelsea. I don't know if anybody would necessarily buy him. I would go as far as he might be telling, his agent might be telling clubs like, if you take me on loan, I'll consider signing for you because I'll be a free agent and then I'll sign wherever I want and you don't have to pay any money. And also, considering that he is kind of, one of his main things is money, which is the reason why he didn't end up at Chelsea and stay at Chelsea. I mean, if you're a free agent, you can demand more money on a weekly wage. So I think with Sancho, I think we're going to have to loan him because I think it's just going to end up like that. I don't think any football club is probably going to put in an offer to buy because they'll probably look at it and be like, well, this guy's free in a year. And I don't think anybody out there is really like, I just feel like nobody's out there that's really like that desperate to sign him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody's like foaming out the mouth to get Jadon Sancho. I think they look at him and be like, yeah, we could use him. But they look at it and they're like, well, he's got a year left on his contract. So we could literally just loan him if we want. And then, like, if he does well, we can sign him. Or we can at least try and sign him when he's a free agent. Maybe he ends up going somewhere else. But also, we have no risk really involved. Because if it goes bad, he won't be our player. And it won't be permanent. So we could wipe our hands clean and somebody else can take him after that. Almost the same with Anthony. Also, we will get 0 millions. Well, I don't know. With Anthony, I feel like, I mean, there's been a couple other links to some other clubs. Nothing like majorly concrete as of yet. Again, it's still very early. But I kind of feel like with Anthony, out of the three, with Anthony, we might probably have the best chance just because of the way he performed at Betis. Now, if it's just Betis and no other sort of significant sort of concrete like offer comes from another club, then I agree, Almo, because I think Betis, they just, whether they have the money or not, they're dead set on not paying it. They're dead set on getting another loan. So if it's solely just Betis, then that will probably happen. But I think I hope that, Leverkusen or as Ten Hag is there, or Atletico Madrid, or some other club, like, actually are interested in buying him, and they put in an offer to do so. But if we can't get that, then, yeah, it's looking like a loan for him, and it's looking like zero money for him. Which is a problem, because these are 3 players that we all said that they're going to go, and that we're going to get rid of, and we might end up in next season with basically the same situation that we just had this season. But we'll have Rashford, Anthony, and Sancho all on loan once again. We've gotten no money from them. We might save some on their wages, but we've gotten no money that we can use for transfers. We need money to use for transfers. Those were top 3 of the players that everybody put on the list to sell because we could get money for them. And then you're looking at the rest of the squad, and you're saying, well, those other ones were always more difficult. Like getting rid of Casemiro is probably extremely difficult. It's probably more difficult than all 3 of those guys. And it's like, we can't do that. Probably, maybe the easiest one And the best one is probably going to be Garnacho, just solely because he's young. Solely because he's young and he still has a high potential and a high ceiling. And people are willing to pay for that. And his wage ain't that crazy. And teams will be willing to take a risk on it. But that's, you know, one player out of four. Well, technically one of five, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. Real Betis one do a loan again and an option for 35 million. Well, I mean, I would. Well, that's what I would really tell them. Really, honestly, I would make. I would have. Like, listen, if they're coming in here, it's one thing. Like, if they really don't have money, they don't have money. But I would force them into a corner at the very least and be like, listen, if we're gonna loan him to you again, and we're not gonna get money when you know we need money, then we have to come to an agreement on something here, written in paper, where you actually give us money, because like, yeah, he went there and he performed well, so it probably helped with his market value to a certain extent, but also at the same time, we'll technically be losing money because there'll be another year off of his contract. So it'll be closer to, like, you know, being out of contract. And when he goes closer to being out of contract, the price will go down. So, you know, let me double check this news. So here's one of the things. Now, this doesn't directly involve United. Well, like, it doesn't. I mean, the update doesn't really have to do. It's not United news, but it might have something to do at some point, because Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted 1 minute ago saying Darwin Núñez remains guaranteed exit at Liverpool this summer, with Saudi Pro League clubs keen since January. Understand also Napoli have made contact in the recent days with Núñez on the short list, and more talks to follow soon. Darwin open to both Saudi/European options. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I think everybody knows, if Liverpool actually sell Darwin Núñez, they're going to go for a striker. And if they go for a striker, I mean, I don't know who they're going for, but it could be one of the guys that we're trying to get. I mean, they could literally just step in and they could go for Gyokeres. They could take Gyokeres to Liverpool if they want. They could go for Osimhen. They could go for Ekitike. You know, so this is just another problem that's coming up, because everybody's been saying, you know, if they actually get rid of Núñez, everybody knows that that means that they're going to go for a striker, and they go for a striker. You know, whoever they pick, if it's one of our targets, it's going to make it even more harder than it already is, which is not ideal in any way. So, I mean, it started off decent. It's taken a real bad left turn right now. Hopefully, you know, it straightens itself out. But I mean, a lot of the updates the past couple of days hasn't been so positive to United. So, almost says that Sancho deal, Chelsea was a waste of time. We might as well have not done it. Maybe, but I think also you could probably make the argument that it was probably the only thing we could have done. You know, I think we did it because there was a lack of options, and we were trying to do something, and we were hoping that it would turn in our favor. And actually, you know what? To be honest, it actually didn't go that bad, because he did all right there, and they offered him a contract. Like, they did want to take him. It only became a waste of time because he's a jackass, and he's once again done something that I think he's an idiot. And he's a prat for it. Like, he's just, like, he had an opportunity to be at a football club that's in the Champions League, that he was already there. It's in London, and they've had a good season. And he could have stayed in England, and he could have played. and he could have fought for his spot. But he just seems like he doesn't want to fight for a spot. He wants a spot guaranteed. He wants to be coddled. He wants his hand held. And also, he wants money. And he threw that away. Because actually, what we did, listen, the 5 million thing, a lot of people were like, that was dumb. Why did we do that? And I think it was probably one of the conditions. And that was the only way we were going to kind of get that deal. But actually, in reality, it was technically successful. Sancho fucked it up because Chelsea actually offered him a contract. They were actually willing to keep him at the club. But Sancho is the one that didn't want to accept the wages that they offered him. And so, it got all messed up. Unfortunately. So it actually wasn't, I don't think it was a waste of time because it did technically work. We were going to get the money, but he just refused to accept the terms. And Chelsea was like, well, it's this or nothing. And they weren't fucking around. You know what I mean? They weren't fucking around. They were serious. Chelsea don't fuck around. I mean, they gave him one offer. They told him pretty much take it or leave it. And he was like, this is all the money you're going to give me. And they were like, yeah. They probably tried to renegotiate. And they were like, we're not moving from this. And he's like, all right, well, I'm not accepting it. And then he left. We won't get no money for Sancho or Rashford. Trust me, Alejandro Garnacho will be the only one to make profit. Well, yeah. Well, Sancho, I can see that. I think it makes sense. I literally been saying, I think Sancho will go for a loan. I think the money for Sancho has sailed because I think the opportunity was there at Chelsea. The fact that he's on a 1-year contract and that he's probably very spiteful to Manchester United and is not looking to do us any favors or help us out in any way. And he's also looking to, if you're Jadon Sancho and you turn down the opportunity to play and stay at Chelsea because of money differences, well, that would lead me to believe that this guy's probably looking at it and like, I'll just get paid my wage from United for 1 more year. They don't want me here. There's no chance of them keeping me here. And they'll probably just end up sending me on loan. So I'll go play football somewhere else. I'll still get paid the money from United that I'm getting paid, which I'm clearly, obviously not going to get if I transfer now and somebody buys me. I'll go run down the contract. When I'm a free agent, I can sign for any club. And I'll ask for more money because they're not paying a transfer fee for me. So for him, I think it's ideal and perfect. It works beautifully for him. Works beautifully for him. I think problem with Rashford is that, but with Marcus, I think it's slightly different almost. Solely for the fact of, his contract's not necessarily up. And with Marcus, I've always said, because it was quite obvious, there's this obsession with Barcelona from him and from his people. And they want to go to Barca and only Barca. And that's why he left late in January. He left all the other bids sitting there on the table and was hoping Barca can do some sort of miracle. Like Fabrizio said, they were trying to get rid of Ansu Fati. If they were able to get rid of Ansu Fati, they could have made a move for Rashford. Ansu Fati refused to leave, so they couldn't do anything. It's still something similar now, because they like him, but again, I don't think he's like major priority for them, and he's willing to sit there and wait, maybe almost all summer, waiting for Barcelona, and he's going to turn down everything else. But that's because, again, for me, when I view it in his way, they're looking at everything and they're saying Barcelona is the only one that has this sort of name and eyes and gets talked about like Manchester United. If you go anywhere else, you're going to get less money for sure. And there's just less attention. There's less interest. It's not as big. So No, I do. I think it is. I think it is. I think it is a bit different. It's not exactly the same. I mean, Sancho has a little bit more. I think with Sancho, it works a little bit more in his favor, considering he has only 1 year left on his contract. Marcus Rashford doesn't have 1 year left on his contract, so I mean, he would have to figure it out at some point. With Sancho, it's a lot more smoother because Sancho just has to do 1 year. And but Sancho is kind of like a win-win. He's like, I get the United wage, I go on loan, play football somewhere else, and then I'll get paid even more because I'll be a free agent. Marcus isn't going to be a free agent, and if Marcus actually wants to get back in the England squad, at some point he's going to have to figure out where he's going to go and play. But the thing with Marcus is more about brand and stature. It's because of the name Barcelona. Whereas Sancho's just more about weekly wage and kind of fucking over United. So, do I like Sancho? No, I hate Jadon Sancho. I hate Jadon Sancho. I think he's a total jackass. Um, I have absolutely zero respect for Jadon Sancho in any form or manner, and I don't take stances like that with players. But I cannot stand the guy. Cannot stand him. Cannot stand him. And all I really want is for him to not be associated with this football club anymore, so we don't have to talk about him, and he can literally evaporate into thin air. And I could give two shits what he does anymore. But as long as he's contracted to our club, and they have to keep bringing up stories about him, then we have to keep talking about it, unfortunately. I would like to not talk about this guy. I would like to move on from this guy. But he's part of the club, so there's nothing we could really do about it. So, why are PSG not in for him? 40 million he's available for. Are you talking about Rashford? Because PSG don't need him. PSG don't need him. PSG don't need him, and PSG don't want him. They don't need him and they don't want him. At one point they did Almo, but they had a different. They didn't have Luis Campos there. Again, like they had a different, whatever it is, director of football, whatever. They had a different guy there. They were trying to do Galactico type of things, getting Messi and Neymar and Mbappe, and sort of making this team. And at one point it was Rashford because he was in really good form, and they wanted him there, but they're not about that anymore. I mean, they've just won the Champions League. They've won the treble. They don't need Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has had 2 shit seasons in a row. He's on massive amount of wages. They don't need him. There's no reason for them to be interested in him. There's no reason. I'm actually surprised that Barcelona even consider using him. I'm surprised that Barca actually are looking to have any interest in him at all. I would figure that it would have to be a club like a Villa or something. Almost says, I don't blame Sancho. To be honest, he's contracted to the football club, so he has the right to claim his wages. No, I mean, it's not that. That's not, I'm not, that's not why. I just don't like his attitude. I don't like his mentality. I don't like what he did with Ten Hag. Whether Ten Hag lied or Ten Hag didn't lie, I don't care. I never agreed with it. I don't like the shit he does. I don't like the way he acts. I don't like, as a footballer, I don't like the way he acts. I don't like the way he handles himself. I don't think he's very professional. I think he's unintelligent in a lot of aspects. Like putting up a post talking about freedom while he's at Chelsea playing very mediocre. Acting like he's one of the best players in the world when he's not. I don't have any respect for that because I spent 2 years backing him, supporting him, and hoping that he would come good and giving him every chance possible. And he then, like a child, puts out a notes from his notes app, puts out a message and leaves it on his Twitter for a week. For 7 days straight, he left it there. It was an embarrassment to the football club. He's got an attitude. Yeah, he's got an attitude. You've never seen him, dude? You've never seen his posts? You never seen how he, like, acts? He thinks he's the shit. He thinks he's literally God's greatest gift. You've never seen any of his, you know, the way he handles himself in front of the cameras. He has, it's not he has an attitude like that saying. I don't like his attitude. I don't like the way he holds himself. I don't think, like, the way he conducts himself as a footballer. I look at that and I go, United have been shit for 13 years and you're still not a United player. You are, I want nothing to do with you. I want nothing to do with you at all. You don't belong here. You should have never been here at all. You clearly don't have the mentality. You don't have the correct attitude. And that showed. He crumbled under the pressure. He had to go on a hiatus for 3 months. That Ten Hag let him do it. We all supported him for it. He came back. He went against the manager because the manager said something about him. Didn't handle it the way I would handle it, which is if the manager lied about me, I'm not putting a post on social media. I'm not writing a paragraph in my notes app to put it on social media. He wanted to put that on social media because he thought that he would get all the support from the fans and get the backing. He wanted the support. He wanted the support from the fans to be like, Ten Hag is the bad guy, because he knew very well that Ten Hag was getting heavily criticized in the media. So he calculated and said, let me put this out here. Let me call the manager a liar. Let me divide the fan base. Let me cause a war within the fan base and have people fighting between Sancho and that. Disruptive. Like, he, you know, he's not... Listen, we were there supporting him. We backed him. The manager did the same. He said one thing about him. If it was me, I would have went right to his door like a man, right? And that's the thing. He's a coward as well, because that's cowardly. You don't address Ten Hag. You go and you write a post and you put it on social media. I would have went to Ten Hag wherever the fuck he was. His office. I would have called him on the phone. I don't know what. And if I had something to say, I would have told him. Like, if he actually lied, I would have went there first. I would have talked it out with him. I would have told him, what the fuck are you lying for? It's bullshit. Why'd you do that to me and put that on my name? I'm fucking pissed. And then see what his reaction is. Now, if he holds his line and stuff, then maybe, you know, I come out and say something. Maybe. To set the record straight. If it actually is a lie. But he didn't do any of that. When we signed him, I was thinking this is not going to go well. You could see it. I had the same feeling. Solely because... At that time, obviously, I didn't know his character too much. Obviously, I knew what he was doing at Borussia Dortmund, right? Like, I saw him doing those things. The thing that worried me the most was, again, I am very, I don't know, fearful, if you want to say. The Bundesliga, in my general opinion, it's very open. It's a lot more open. It's in my opinion, it's easier to score goals. It's way easier to score goals. It's way easier to perform. So, and I've seen too many people come from the Bundesliga to the Premier League and replicate nowhere next to nothing of what they were doing. But what concerned me the most was it was all the United fans. Because I didn't really watch Borussia Dortmund that much. I watched them when they were in the Champions League. I never watched Bundesliga. And everybody was talking about Sancho. Sancho this, Sancho that. Sancho's a baller. Everybody's putting up clips of Sancho, you know, dribbling and doing this and doing that. And it was all Sancho's an absolute baller. He's going to ball out, you know. And it was like that for a year and a half. Absolute baller, this and that. And every time I kept seeing more and more in this, I was like, this is giving me a bad feeling. I was like, this is giving me a bad feeling. I was like, everybody is saying he's an absolute baller. And yet, we were the only ones trying to buy him for the amount of money that Borussia Dortmund wanted. If he was such a baller, why was nobody else trying to get him for the price that Dortmund was pushing for? And I just was like, I feel like he's English. He's being way overhyped because he's English. And I was just like, I don't think this is going to go well. I don't think this was going to go well. No, I was like, he might be good, but I was like, I feel like at this point, he's being way too overhyped. I was like, and one of the reasons is because he's English. Because that's what they do. The English do it all the time. They overhype all their own players, for sure, 100%. But yeah, I just felt like because he was like this sort of young guy, he was sort of popular on social media. You know what I mean? And he was balling out in the Bundesliga, and he was English. It was a lot of overhype, and I was just like, I'm not liking this. I was like, there's too much hype around this guy, and I don't see enough interest from other football clubs. And I was like, I was like, I don't think. When I saw the fee that we paid, I was like, I don't like that. I was like, if we got him for less, I would have been fine with it, but that's why I wouldn't pay 100 million for the striker that we have been linked to today. Nowhere near 100 million. Did you see him against Tottenham in the Europa League 4? Yeah, I mean, I said that before. I was like, I wouldn't do it either. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a massive, massive, massive risk. It's nothing against him. I'm not saying that he ain't good or anything like that, but he's had one full senior season in the Bundesliga. He's done decently well. He's got some ability. He's got some potential and stuff like that, and he could become a very, very, very good striker, but he's still very young. And to pay 100 million for that, I think is probably the most riskiest piece of business that we could do. People have concerns about Gyokeres, and people have concerns about Osimhen, and these guys are well-established strikers with experience. And then they look at Ekitike and they get all excited. They're like, "Go buy him right now." And I'm like, how can you have concerns about Gyokeres, about fitting into the league, or Osimhen, but you're willing to take 100% gamble on this kid because he's the new shiny toy and it gets you all excited? I'm like, he's probably the most biggest gamble when you factor in the price and experience and the fact that he's basically had, so far, it's a one-off season, and you're going to pay that money. I think that's the biggest gamble you could do. And I said it before you came in here. I said it feels very Maguire-ish to me. Feels very Sancho-ish to me. Feels very Anthony-ish to me. And I was like, I wouldn't do it for that price for sure. To be honest, in that league, he was cooking. No, he was. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like that league, it's easier to score. I feel like it's more open. And I just, there's been loads of players that perform exceptionally well, especially attackers, perform exceptionally well in the Bundesliga. And they've come to the Premier League and they have been shit. They have gotten next to nowhere to performing the way they were performing in the Bundesliga in the Premier League. So he was doing good there. And I think, I'll be fair, Almo, I think if we take him right now and we loan him or, sell him to Dortmund, I think he'll play good there again. But as we've seen, he was bad with us. City let him go for a reason, right? He was bad with us, and he went to Chelsea, and he was mediocre at Chelsea. So he hasn't hit any heights in the Prem at all. But he excelled in the Bundesliga before we bought him and when we loaned him to Dortmund. he did pretty good. The loan to Dortmund, I think he did better than the loan to Chelsea. We did the same with Jack Grealish. Well, maybe so, but I think Jack Grealish at Villa was actually good. I think he was actually good. You know, went to City, and well, I don't know what actually happened, but after some point at being at City, I don't know how he was able to stay for as long as he did because it just didn't work. It just didn't look like he necessarily was the proper player that they should have signed. It was definitely 150,000% a flop for sure. But then I think also something that happened was after being there a couple years and winning all these trophies, I feel like he just kept getting a bigger head and a bigger ego and became more of a jackass. You know? Like that Grealish at Villa was not as big of a dickhead as he was at City, like basically up until this point. He kind of grew more into that as he won more trophies. And it was like he was playing less. He was, participating less, but was still winning all these trophies. The guy would go out and get absolutely plastered. And I never liked that either, to be quite honest, because I don't care really, if the player goes drink. I don't like it per se. It's not my ideal thing, but listen, you're a human being and you're allowed to do what you want. I'm not going to try and like tell you how to live your life. But what I didn't like was the media, because I was like, if that was a United player, for example, like Marcus Rashford, went to Belfast, stayed out past curfew, got drunk, didn't go to training the next day. They made a huge fucking story about it, and they were trying to crucify him. Jack Grealish, because he plays for City, and City's winning titles, even though he's shit and he's a flop. Oh, it's all good old Jackie boy. We know he drinks. We know he's basically an alcoholic. We know he gets absolutely pissed drunk in public in front of everybody, embarrassing himself and shit like that. But he's good old Jackie boy. It's fine. It's fine. He's a good old Jackie boy. He plays for City. He's kind of like a Timu David Beckham because he's got the hair and he tries to be a pretty boy. It's totally fine for him. But if it was a United player that did the shit that he did, they would be putting him all over Sky Sports, talking about it's embarrassing that you do this sort of things as a professional football player, getting that drunk in front of the public, it's a fucking ridiculous. We do it in the England national team as well. That team is fucking bang average apart from 2 or 3. Well, definitely the England national team for sure. I know about that. I mean, I support England. I support England when it comes to internationals. Good. That's just how I was raised. We're United fans. We had United players that would play for England, so we would support England national team to support our players from United. I also have a tiny bit. My grandfather did serve in for the British Royal Navy as well. So, um, apparently that allows me. I think I was told once. So I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently I can get citizenship for that. So, um, you know. Steph says, "Big up Eric and chat legend. Big up Steph. How are you, Steph? How are you? Would you take him from Man City if he was available, bro? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I look at Grealish the same way I look at Sancho. Don't want you. Don't like your attitude. Don't like the attitude he has. Don't. I just don't like that sort of player. I don't want that player. I don't want that player in and around my team. Don't want him. No. And after seeing the way it's gone with City, it's actually one of the players that I'm actually happy that you know, because we tried to sign him. I was like, I'm actually happy that we didn't sign him, because looking at the way it's gone, I was like, and considering that, you know, we weren't winning the way that City were winning, I was like, that would have been really, really bad. There would have been another one, you know what I mean? Almost as to be fair, his house got broken into, armed burglary, so that's probably affected him mentally also. Well, that's fucked up, you know? I don't, listen, I don't like the guy, but I ain't talking about, you know, I don't wish that type of shit for on them. It's just solely as a footballer, you know? Um, could be, could be, could be. I mean, you never know. He would have to tell us. You know what I mean? He would have to say so. But yeah, I mean that's fucked up. Like, no, you don't need people. You don't need people getting their houses broken into, armed robbery, being held at gunpoint or some shit like that. No, we don't need any. Yeah, you're talking about Grealish. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we don't need any of that. You know what I mean? We don't need any of that. That's fucked up. I don't wish that on any player. You know, even Jadon Sancho, and I despise Jadon Sancho, but you know, I don't need his house doesn't need to be burglarized. It doesn't have to be vandalized. He doesn't need to be like assaulted on the street. Nobody has to spit on him or something like that. And I don't ask for those sort of things. The only thing I'd say is just please stay away from my football club and don't be in association with us and go do you. And that's it. You know, leave me alone, and I'm not gonna, and I'll leave you alone. Like, you know, once Sancho's actually gone, I'll never talk about Sancho again. You know, there's no reason to. I don't want to talk about him. You know what I mean? And I don't really talk about Grealish because he's not really United. I mean, not really United, but he's not a United player, so has no real impact. I mean, if somebody asks me, I'll give my opinion. But Tio says you guys from USA. I am from New York, USA. Yes. Tio says, what about Club World Cup? Well, I don't know, Tio. I kind of feel like a shit, to be quite honest. But I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm not really hyped for it, really. You know, I know a couple people, they're like, oh, the Club World Cup, the Club World Cup. I'm like, it's just I was like, you know, I kind of feel like, I'm like, it's just sort of a shit competition that they put together for money that they kind of stole from the, you know, the whole Super League thing. I was like, we'll see. I was like, you know, kind of the core of it doesn't really make sense to me, Tio. You have a Club World Cup, but like all the champions from all the leagues aren't even necessarily all there. So it's like, how does that work? Why is it like that? You based it off of a coefficient. I don't even understand how the coefficient works for this. So I don't know. I mean, I'll still give it a shot. They got to play it, and we got to see how it goes. But you know, and I'll watch matches and stuff. We'll see how it goes. You know, we'll see how it goes. But it's not doing so well here though. See, here's the thing. Again, you know, they've done this for money, but also they've put it in the United States because I don't know if you guys are quite aware, but the United States has, how do I put this? The market for stuff in the United States. You can, so for example, United, right? When they played Old Trafford, and this is why the Glazers were trying to do Super League stuff, because United, when they play at Old Trafford, I'm sure there's expensive seats for sure, especially if you sit like, you know, right behind, like right on, basically on the pitch. I'm sure those are super, I don't know how much they run for. I'm sure they're super expensive. But to sit in maybe, you know, the 200 section or something like that, when they come here, you can charge people about $300 for mediocre or less than average seats, and people will buy it. People buy it. They actually sell out. Like for example, and this is why United are coming again to the United States, because this is where they can make the most money. They will bring United here, and they could tell people this match, lowest ticket price is $500. Lowest ticket price in the entire stadium. and people are still going to buy it, and they're still going to sell a shit ton of tickets. Because people here just, they spend ridiculous money, and they're not going to bitch and complain. Like, they might complain and they might say it's expensive, but they're still going to do it. Whereas, like, if they tried to do something like this at Old Trafford, there would be an absolute shitstorm. I mean, people lose their mind when the price of the ticket went from like £50 to £65. You know what I mean? Over here, they just come here and they could literally just tell you whatever price they want for a ticket, and people will buy it. People will buy it, and people will sell out the stadium to watch them. And the Club World Cup, they're trying to do the same because they know that people here spend money like, you know, it's air. Even if they don't have it, you know, people put shit ton of money on their credit cards. People put money on, you know, they use things like they'll buy $1,000 ticket and they'll pay it over the next 6 months in basically installments, like it's a fucking transfer or something. And that's what they're trying. That's what they were trying to do with the Club World Cup. The problem is the Club World Cup ain't selling too well. I just seen the other day that they're actually worried about the ticket sales because they're quite low, and I think they're lowering the prices. And I was like, yeah, no shit, because number one, it's in the summer, and you know, in the summer, people, yeah, we're out doing things, but also people are going on vacation, like Americans, especially. Americans like to get out. Well, some Americans don't ever leave the country, but other Americans, they go, you know, take a vacation here, go to Hawaii, go to this place. Maybe a lot more are going to Europe now when they used to not go in the past. But I looked at the tickets because I was like interested, and I was like, let me see how much they're going for, and I was like, I wouldn't pay to watch this. I'm not spending $350 to go watch one of these matches. I was like, this is crazy. That's insane. And it's not even for a good seat. So, you know, it's a lot. It's all for money. It's all for money. It's all for money. I mean, you know, this is the third year in a row that we're going to America? They're holding the Club World Cup. Next year's the World Cup here. The tickets for the World Cup, I mean, the World Cup's always expensive, but I mean, I was looking at some of the packages they have. I was like, this is insane. I think the lowest package they have is about $4,000 US. I'm like, that's not. That's not. So I'm like, I'm not $4,000 per person for each package. I think $4,000, 4,000 to 5,000 US gets you, I think, 3 or 4 matches of qualifying round. And I think you get to pick the team or the stadium location, something like that. I'm like, that's not fucking worth it either. Like, they're crazy. It's crazy. Like, you're paying $1,000 a match. Like, how do you justify that? Sancho has had 4 poor seasons in a row. Almost says, what I can't understand is we have had the Man City 115 charges all season, and then we haven't heard anything, and they've signed about 4 players. Something dodgy going on there. Well, I mean, they're still allowed to sign players because nothing has happened to them yet, so they can continue to sign all the players they want unless, you know, a ruling happens and rules is ruled against them. But I mean, it is quiet on that part. I don't really know what's going on with it, and there hasn't really been any updates about it, so I feel like that part is definitely dodgy, Almo, for sure, because there was a lot of talk and there was a lot of build-up, and now it just kind of seems like, you know, if it wasn't for people constantly bringing it up, you would think it's just completely disappeared and gone away, like almost like they don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But I mean, listen, if they win, if City win that, we're probably going to be even more fucked, to be quite honest, because what's going to happen, what's going to come out of that is if City beats them in that case, and that means all those like the PSR and all that shit's going to cease to exist, which means that a club like Newcastle United, who has the most money out of everybody, can literally just start pouring in all the fucking money they want without any restrictions or any regulations. So clubs that have owners that have a lot of money that are trying to win, that have to stay within a certain guidelines right now, if the Premier League loses the case, there's going to be literally zero restrictions, which means that City can pump in as much money as they want, and Newcastle can pump in as much money as they want. They can literally pump in as much as they want. They could put in 500 billion if they want. And then other clubs as well. Whoever has a good owner with good money, they would be able to pump in as much money as they want, and they can go and spend as much money as they want. While we're going to be sitting here with the Glazers still owning 60%, Sejim owning 28%. The Glazers aren't going to put in their own money. Sejim has put in some of his money already to try and help the club out. But whether you agree with it or not, again, I understand Sejim Ratcliffe. It's stupid if you own 28% and you're just going to keep pumping money in without getting any more of a percentage. From a business standpoint, doesn't make sense. So we're going to be sitting there basically, trying to operate the club in a financially responsible way with no help from our main owners. And then you're going to have all the other football clubs that have good owners, that have money, that actually want to put in as much money as they possibly can into the football club to be as successful as we can. And we're going to be fucked. We're going to be fucked. The Premier League losing that case to Manchester City will be very, very... I mean, it'll be good for some, but it's going to be very bad for others. It's going to be very bad because once that happens, there's nothing stopping them anymore. So there's nothing stopping them anymore. 37 days left. 37 days left for what? What's happening in 37 days? Is it someone's birthday? Is the world ending? 37 days. What's happening? What's happening in 37 days? Boxers, I think City or thing has been forgotten about. City must have won. Nah, I mean, if they won the decision, it would be announced. You know what I mean? We didn't get that announcement. But I would say, Box, I don't think it's going the way that most people hoped, because I feel like if it was going against City, there would be a lot more news surrounding it. There would be a lot more news surrounding it, and major breaking news, because it would be like sort of a big deal that City get fucked for that. It would be huge news. Like if City actually got in trouble for all that and they got basically convicted, the stories that they would run for fucking weeks and weeks and weeks on that, they would be running that. But I think because it's not necessarily going in that way, I do feel like because it's been so quiet, I think the league is losing it. I think the league is losing it. I think the league is probably going to end up losing it. Because of how quiet it is. It's weird. It's weird. Because I feel like if the league was winning it, I feel like we would be hearing a lot of, just like when the first initial updates were coming out and City are being charged for this, and it was a big talk and there was constant talk about it because it was a big deal. Now it's like nobody's talking about it, and I think it's because it ain't going the way that the league wants it to. And really, if City win it, it's only going to be like City, Newcastle, and like 2 other clubs that are going to celebrate that. Where if the league won, it would be like, 80% of all Premier League clubs like fans and shit, they would be celebrating, they would be buying into that. So yeah, I don't think it's going well. I don't think it's going well. Almost as Man City will make the league boring again next season, buying all these players. Well, maybe, but you know what? A lot of people are saying that, Almo. But my whole thing is, I still hold them as, again. I'm very much like this. I'm very much like this with a lot of things. I want to see it. I want to see it. You know what I mean? I want to see it, Almo. I want to see it because everybody's like, look at all these players they're buying. They're getting serious again. They're going to be very good, and I'm like, yeah, that's all well, and that's all a good possibility. But also at the same time, they're rebuilding, and that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to go necessarily well in its first season. If you buy all these players and you throw them into the team, it might not click right away. Might take them a year. Might take them 2 years to click, really click, to be sort of that level that you're saying of making it boring again, where essentially they're machine. So I want to see it because part of me, everybody keeps saying, City, they're looking real dangerous again. They're coming back, and I'm like, yeah, that's all good and well, but they're rebuilding this team. He still has to put it together, and he still has to get it to click. And I don't know if he's necessarily going to be able to do that with the amount of changes that he's making. It's a hard thing to do, and also, while he does have, because they have the money, he also has the people there to help him. But Pep has never rebuilt his own team. He's never rebuilt his own team. He's never had to change sort of generations, like Fergie used to do. He's never had to do that. So, he had the Barca thing. He left Barca. He went to Bayern. He did the thing at Bayern. It wasn't even that successful. He came to City, and City already won title by the time he came here. Yeah, he changed them, but that it didn't even go that well in the beginning anyway, when he first did it. So now he has to rebuild pretty much his own team. He has to rebuild his own team, new generation. He's never had to do it before. And I just kind of feel like, they might not be bad, but are they going to be like the most elite team in the league? I don't think so. I think I don't think that they'll win the league next season. I don't. Maybe they finish third or something like that, but I don't think they'll get there. 37 days until United plays again. Really? Only 37 days? Can they make it longer? I'm not ready. 37 days is too short. Chad says Onana clean sheet for July. Yeah, why? Because he's not going to play? Or like... sheet for July. He's not going to play. Clean sheet for June. Alright, let me see. Too hot. In the last 12 months, City, have signed Savinho, Gundogan. Well, Gundogan's an old man. Usanov, Reese, Marmouche, Nico, Itanori, Bettinelli, Cherky, Reindeers. Unless he wets the bed. Yeah. And also, players like, De Bruyne and, others. I mean, even Gundogan was their guy, went to Barca, came back. Players like De Bruyne and ones that have been there, that have won everything with them. I mean, these guys are getting older. They're going to end up leaving. And you're going to have to recreate something new because you're not going to get another De Bruyne. You know what I mean? You're not going to get another De Bruyne. You're not going to get, Rodri is still there, but like at some point you're not going to get another Rodri. So you will have to get new players, but you're not going to be able to find a player like that player specifically. So you're going to have to try and create something sort of newish for it to work. And that, anything can happen. You know, you could get it done in the first season, it could take you 4 seasons. You might not be able to do it again. You know what I mean? Um, oh, by the way, uh, so City bought Napan and they're loaning him out. Just so you know that. They got him in just to loan him out. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, Napan was one that people were like, "We buy him and we'll start him." They bought him and they're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna loan him out just so we have him because he's really young and he's top talent." Yeah, they got Napan. Yeah. Um. No, he's not going to Girona. He's not going to Girona. This is Fabrizio Romano 15 minutes ago. Said City to loan Napan out, not to Girona. So Swedish Rumble. Yeah, let's go back to Swedish Rumble. Did you give us a fucking translation or not? This guy is, half asleep. Nobody translated this. He needs more followers or something. I don't know. He doesn't have enough. Um, yeah. Yeah, that's what he said, Fabrizio, 15 minutes ago. He said not to Girona. So I don't know where they're gonna loan him to, but they got some RG prospect as well at Chervy. Yeah. Yep. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is the shit that we should be doing, but we can't do it because our ownership is fucked. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, but all the shit that they're doing, that's why I hate them the most. Because it's like, it's not even, it's not even necessarily like it's not their fault. You know what I mean? It's not their fault in that aspect. It's just like it frustrates me more because I'm like, we have owners that don't give a fuck, and it's just like, it's like it's like it just feels like our club died with Sir Alex Ferguson and whatever the fuck it was after that. Like it's just not this. And then just like City, like the owners of City just came in and they kind of just picked up where we left off and they just started doing all the things that we were doing and that we should be doing. And like our club, based off of its history and foundation, should be doing the things that they are doing. Like we should be getting these players, these young players like that. We should be finding them from all over the place. We should be fucking giving them opportunities and loaning them out. We should be making small moves. And when I'm saying we should be, it's because we've done it before and we literally had the means to do it. But because we have the shittiest owners on the planet, we've lost all of that and we've thrown it away. And now you got to watch the other team, who was literally nobody and who was literally nothing, do that shit while we're over here struggling. You know? While we're here struggling. We should set aside a dedicated team to be based in Saudi. Plus, they're not allowed to return to the UK until they've found buyers for Nana, Bayender, Shaw, Malacia, Casemiro, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony. Yeah, I mean, again, like I get that, but you have to. It would. I don't know. It would make sense if the players would be on board. You know, maybe some players would take the money, but maybe some of them would be like, I don't give a shit about the money. I don't want that money. They can offer me, you know, they can offer me what they were offering Bruno. I'm not going there. So but what we need to do is we need to figure out, forget Saudi Arabia. We just need to figure out how to sell the players in general. I mean, I mean, sell them anywhere. Sell them anywhere at this point, literally. Like, forget Saudi Arabia. Sell them anywhere. Wherever they want to go, just fucking figure out how to get money for them by sending them where they want to go, or where they gotta go, or where they can go. I don't know if Anthony would go to Saudi. I feel like he probably wouldn't. Sancho probably would, because he's the money. But oh, I feel like he would get in trouble over. I think Onana's not completely against it. I don't know about Biende. I feel like maybe he would take it, but maybe Biende would just be like, "Fuck that! I'm going back to Turkey. I'm going home." You know. For sure. Luke Shaw. Listen, if Saudi Arabia offered Luke Shaw like lifetime McDonald's, it might be tempting enough to go. Lifetime unlimited amount of McDonald's. I think Luke Shaw would go for sure. For sure. I think you can convince Shaw to go there. A lifetime unlimited McDonald's. 100%. Malasia. Casemiro, he's. I mean, at the moment, he's against it. At the moment, he's against it. Maybe when he's a free agent, because, you know, when he's a free agent, he's gonna have to leave. You know what I mean? He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to obviously go somewhere. He's gonna, if he wants to keep playing, he's gonna have to go to like a new club somewhere, and no Premier League club is probably gonna take him on. And also, you know, he'll be much closer to retirement. So maybe he'll end up going there as a free agent and just getting, you know, sort of a last payday type of thing. But while he still has the chance, he gets to play in the Premier League. And he's getting paid, you know, 300,000 a week. So, quite a few Brazilians go to Saudi, yeah. That's true. That's true. They take the money to give it to the family, you know? Maybe their villages and shit like that, because Brazil is quite rough in terms of financials. It's quite poor in a lot of areas, you know what I mean? So it does make sense. It does make sense, you know. They do get paid so much money, they could probably give, you know, a set amount to each one of their family members that they have, and everybody will, you know, as long as they hold it, as long as they you know, they don't blow it on dumb shit, you know, everybody will probably be good. They'll be able to have houses, cars, you know, money for the rest of their lives and their kids' lives, pretty much, essentially. So makes sense. United need to hire hypnotist sales experts. I mean, we might, Steph. We might. You know, at this point, it kind of seems like that is the only way we're actually going to be able to sell people, is that we gotta, you know, we basically gotta hypnotize them. We gotta trick them, to a certain extent, into getting them to sell. So, yeah. Hold on, I gotta do something real quick. Oh no. Oh no. Neymar, Fabinho, Marcus Leonardo, Alex Telles, Talisca, etc. Chris Smalling plays. Does Chris Smalling play in Saudi Arabia now? I didn't even know that. How old is Chris Smalling? Well, listen, I mean, if you go from United to the Serie A, and then once you're done with the Serie A, I mean, where are you gonna go? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? Man, hold on, I gotta do like 3 things on my phone right now. I gotta do. What team does he play for in Saudi Arabia? One. Copy link. Where's copy link? Copy link. So I mean, there's no more news. It's very hot. I'm actually dying. I mean, it's absolutely just humid in this location I'm in. It's fucking. I'm boiling. He plays for Al Fire. Fire. He plays for Al Fire. Like fire, fire. He plays for Fire. Are they any good? Are they any good? Oh, this was 1. This is 2. He plays for Fire. I'm sorry. I'm distracted. I need to. I'm just trying to do this on my phone real quick. What is this? 2, 2. This is 2, and that's 2. A lot of 2s. Too many 2s. So obviously, you know, tomorrow will be live because it's Friday, and we're gonna do Freestyle Friday, as we always do. So we'll do that. That should be good. Always enjoy the Freestyle Fridays. They're always very good. And sometimes, you know, it gets quite crazy in there. But yeah, we're gonna do that. And then we'll see. Maybe I'll pop in on a Saturday or Sunday as well. We'll see. I could actually maybe sort of tell you right now, but you gotta give me a second. So let me look at the schedule. Let me look at the schedule. Let's look at the schedule. Where is my schedule? You know, today was one of those days like nothing works well. So like I came here, I got home, and I was trying to, you know, I had like food already made. I was trying to heat it up because I was hungry, and I was like, I gotta eat something before I do the show. Uh, you know, shit wasn't working, so I ended up eating late. Then I came on here and I was setting up the show, and the thumbnail wasn't downloading properly, and it was giving me problems, and it took me like 15-20 minutes to get it sorted, and I was like, you know, nothing's working. Then when I went to go live, it wouldn't go live. I was trying to make it go live for like a good like 5 minutes, and it just wouldn't connect to the live, and I was like, today's one of those days. Like it just that's why I was so late. Like just everything was going wrong. Like the phone was spazzing out. I was trying to like tweet out the show on X, and the phone wouldn't like properly do what it was doing. It was like jumping and lagging, and I was like, I was actually getting really pissed about it because like it's just work. I was like, we're already late. We're already late for the show. Like, please just fucking just work, man. Um, yeah, this is what I was looking for. So, is this tomorrow? That's tomorrow. It was yesterday. So tomorrow to 8:30. Ah, yeah. So maybe Saturday or Sunday, but we'll do a stream as well. I mean, I'll let you guys know in the Discord. Um, Shield Dorga says, "Hi man, love your content. Sending love from I'm gonna mispronounce that, so I apologize. Maritius. Maritius. Where is that? I'm gonna Google it. Appreciate the love and thank you for that. Thank you for that very much. Appreciate it. Where is that? I don't know where it is, but I want to know now. I really cannot pronounce English, man. I cannot pronounce words. It's an island, country in East Africa. Oh, it looks beautiful. You guys have a national park? Wait. It would take me 20 hours to get there. Bloody hell. Oh, I messed up. No. Go back. Okay. Is an island nation located on the located in the Indian Ocean off the southern east coast of Africa, east of Madagascar. It's not considered part of East Africa, but rather a separate island nation in the Indian Ocean. It's volcanic. It's a volcanic island. Oh shit. I thought I knew it all. And look at this. Look at the flag, man. You guys got 4 colors in there. Yeah. Red, blue, yellow, and green. Mauritius. Mauritius. Gremlins. Yes, gremlins. That's in the Indian Ocean near South Africa. It's 30 hours from USA, where I'm actually from. Holy shit. Well, I mean, I got this one picture here. It's like of the coastline again. I mean, the whole thing is like surrounded by water, but the water looks absolutely just like it's like a brightish bluish greenish type of it's see-through. Kind of like my people's water, but yeah, that looks really nice over there actually. Hey, that's not a bad. That looks like a spot where, like, if you ever win the lottery, and you need to get away from everybody, and you just go in and get like a small little like kind of village in there, and specifically at this picture that I'm looking at right here. And I think this is all for the beach. Hey, listen, you wrote it. You wrote it Mauritius. That's how you wrote it. Don't blame me. You wrote it. Look. How do you pronounce the first part? M-A-W. How are you supposed to pronounce that? That's Ma. Just take it like it's a low cost Hawaii. Everything here is so cheap. Yeah, I mean it. I don't know if it's gonna show. I'll try to make it show. Does it show? The camera in the way. Yeah, the light doesn't help. But I'm looking at that. That looks nice. That looks awesome. Look at the water, man. That's like where my people are from, Malta. The water's like that too. And then you know what you got here? The water here, I don't go to the beach here. I don't go to the beach. I've been to the beach. I was born here and I lived here my whole life. I've maybe gone to the beach. Maybe. A total of maybe like 3 times. Maybe. Possibly. 3 times in 30 years. Here, specifically. I go to the beach when I go on vacation. But here, I don't go to the beach. Our water is... Listen, it's clean. But it looks... dirty. Like, the water is not... doesn't look like that. The water is... looks muddy. Looks like there's oil in it or something. Just looks dirty. The sand ain't that great and it sucks. And there's way too many people. Way too many people. so I don't go to the beach here. So, but I'm lucky enough that like that country. I have a country where I go to. The water's beautiful. The beaches are beautiful. Um, but yeah, some of my friends that are only Americans, they don't really go anywhere. Like, see, the thing about American is like, when we were growing up, like everybody used to be like, oh, like, what's your nationality? And you'd have people and they're like, yeah, I'm 25% German. And then there'd be like some person that's like, I'm 15%, French or something like that. They don't go there. They don't go there. You know what I mean? They've never been there. I don't need. I don't know if they have family there. If they do have family there, they don't talk to them. They're not. You know what I mean? They don't go there. They've never been there. And like summers, I would leave here to go to my people, and they all just stay here. They don't really go anywhere. You know what I mean? They don't go anywhere. They got nobody to visit. All the family lives here, right? So they don't go to another country. They don't see other places. So all they know is like really, whatever we got over here, which I'm like, that's quite sad when you think about it, really. Just imagine I losing to Tottenham and watching the final live from the beach. That was the most heartbreaking moment in my whole life. It's like I lost something personal. Well, I don't know. That might be quite. Listen, that might be quite. If I was there on the beach, and I watched United lose to Tottenham in the final on the beach, there's probably a couple things I would have done. Number one, I would have tried to bury my head literally in the sand. Like literally, I would have dug a hole. And I've been like, somebody close it now. Because I don't even want to see anything anymore. Just put my just cover the sand on top of my head. I'm done. That, or I'm jumping in the water and I'm holding my breath underwater for as long as possible. Out of anger. I literally packed up my things and went home. Well, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That I would have, or if you got some nice rocks there, I would have picked up the rocks. I would have started throwing them things as far as possible. Try and get my anger out, and my frustration. For sure. Probably would have started punching the sand or something. I don't know. Who knows? Sometimes I just do things in the moment, so I can't even tell you what I would really do. Kind of just a spontaneous type of thing. Just happens, just happens. What's that? Oh, okay. Well, listen. It's late. I do have to go. So we'll see each other tomorrow. Anyway, Friday freestyle. We'll be live. 3:15. I'm gonna stop telling you 3 because it's always a rush. So we'll just make it easy. 3:15. I said 3:15. I'm sorry. 8:15 p.m. EST, British Standard Time. We'll be live. And we'll speak tomorrow, and we'll do a Friday freestyle, and we'll talk about little bit of topical stuff. Hopefully, we get something to talk about, really, and then chat. You take it away, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And then we'll go from there. So, I gotta run though, because I gotta eat. And I gotta shower, and I gotta relax, because I do gotta be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, you can see the clock is 6:15 p.m. I gotta go to sleep soon. I need to relax and turn it down. Shale says, my brother and I were watching your stream last week, and he was saying you looked 1,000% like Bruno Fernandes. He's not like the first people to say that. Oh my god. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Because actually, some of my friends said that, like, 3 or 4 years ago, and they're like, dude, you look like Bruno. I'm like, shut up. You know, I'm like, shut up. I'm like, you're just saying that, you know, to mess with me. But then we've had other people here as well that also said that last time, and now you're saying it. So Bruno. Yeah, that's hilarious. Eric hasn't perfected the arm waving. No, not yet, not yet. Um, although I'm quite good at the point. I'm quite good at the point. The point I could do good. Um, but this I need to work on this one. This one's not there yet. You know, that one where he's like, he does this. The point, I could do the point for sure. I could do the point for sure. When we lost to Spurs, I was at the pub, sat with my mates, who's a Spurs fan, and he couldn't believe I didn't lose it. Steph, I'm gonna be quite honest. I don't know how you guys do that. I don't know how you do it. I don't. I don't. That's so tough. Because listen, it's one thing for like me or like a couple of others, couple others. Like we're at home, you know. I'm at home. I'm watching the match. You know, if I watch the match, if I'm not watching my father, you know, maybe I'll catch it by myself. But like we lose. Like I'll be pissed, and like the most that happens is like I get a couple messages on the phone, like you know, people talking crap and shit. But to be in like a physical location and like at least 50%, if not more, of the place that you're in literally hates United and they want you to lose and United lose. I don't know how you guys deal with it, cuz like I'm not used to that, right? Cuz over here it's very different. Like it's not the sport. It's not the main sport. So it's just not it's not the same. Like the culture's not the same. When I go to Malta, I go in my family's bar restaurant. My uncle has like 5 TVs, and then he's got the giant projector screen, right? So he'll put the games on. Dude, I go in there. When I was there, I was able to watch like the first 2 games of the season. Yeah, I like almost lost my shit. Like people were rooting against us and they were talking shit, and I'm in there and I'm ready to go crazy. I was like, I'm gonna flip out. I was like, I'm gonna go crazy on these people. I was like, because they're pissing me off and they're talking shit, and I was ready to start screaming and shouting at them. And I'm like, I could only imagine. Like for example, like Liverpool won the league. They actually had like a whole celebration for Liverpool, because I told you it's basically it's all United or all Liverpool, and then there's some Serie A fans, but it's basically heavy United and heavy Liverpool. They had a whole celebration. They had their own parade for Liverpool in the street, and I saw it on my phone, and I was like, I literally looked at it, and I was like, I'm so happy I'm not there right now, because I was like, if I was there and I had to deal with this shit, I was like, I would go absolutely insane on all of them. I was like, there's no chance that I would be okay. I was like, I would literally go nuts. I was like, these guys would try and say something to me. I was like, I'm fighting somebody for sure. For sure. And I don't want to fight nobody, but I was like, I'm fighting somebody for sure. Because I was like, I'm not going to be able to handle it. Gyokeres says, just want to tell you that you're one of the best and most interactive streamers around the team. Love it. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I really do. That means a lot. Appreciate that very much. I try my best. I try my best, you know. Try my best. And one day, you know, hopefully we'll get really, really big, and we'll have lots of people like more like you guys, you know, the rest of you that are always here supporting, and, you know, just good community members and United fans that love it. Really, that's my only goal. I just want as big as a thing as possible, to have as many people as possible, to get as many opinions as possible, really. And that was one of my things, you know. Elias says RDE gang. Yeah, that was one of my things. Like, I always wanted to kind of do, well, like, I didn't know this was a thing for a long time. I didn't know that, like, there was, like, fan channels for, you know, because they were doing it for a good amount of time before I found them. I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know people were, like, quite interested in this sort of thing. And I always had this, like, obscure thing as, you know, because YouTubers used to get a bad rep. They used to be like, oh, that person's a YouTuber. Like, it's like some weirdo vlogger that vlogs, like, you know, them walking in the street or like what they eat for breakfast or something like that. So I never really paid too much attention to YouTube, you know. And then, you know, I would watch, once I found them, I watched it. And I was like, I like it. But I was like, there's some things that I was like, I don't necessarily agree with. Like some of the channels, they try to tell you that they're there for opinion and that they're there for discussion, but they're really not, because I feel like they censor people a lot. And I don't agree with that sort of stuff. And I kind of wanted to just have a place where we don't have to agree. I don't have a problem with that. If somebody else has a problem with that and can't handle it, there's nothing I can do. But if we can sit in a place where we don't have to necessarily agree and we can argue, I have no problem arguing. We keep it respectful to a certain level, but we can argue all day. But at the end of the argument, if we walk away and I have respect for that person still has respect for me, but we completely disagree, I'm okay with that. I like that. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a healthy thing. And unfortunately, in today's world, I think there's less and less of that. And there's more of that person thinks differently than me. That person is a bad person. And I don't like that sort of stuff. I think that's very bad for society as a whole. So I just wanted a place where, like, you can have, you know, an opinion, and maybe 80% of us think it's a fucked up opinion, but you're allowed to share it and we'll talk about it. And, you know, it's not like you share an opinion and it's like you're never allowed to come back here or talk again. Like, you'll be allowed to come here and you'll be allowed to say things and we'll argue about whatever you want to argue about. My one and only rule is just never make it personal. You know, if we're arguing, you come to me and you start calling me, you know, an a-hole and this and that, or you call me the B word or something like that, you know, then that's when I'm like, all right, well, I can't take you seriously anymore. But if we disagree, like I disagree with Chad all the time. Chad hates Bruno Fernandes. He hates him. He dislikes him very much. I like Bruno, and so does a couple other people in here. I'll argue with Chad all day about Bruno. It's fine. Chad's always allowed back here, and Chad's always allowed to talk. Because Chad doesn't start calling me, you know, obscene names. He keeps the conversation on the topic. He makes his points about why he thinks that, you know, Bruno's not a good player and he doesn't like Bruno. I don't have a problem with that. I don't agree with it, but you know, he's allowed to stay here. So, yeah, I appreciate that, Dorga. Appreciate that very much. I said, oh gosh, he said his name. Well, he was in here, but he was actually very quiet today, so he only said a couple things. Which is fine. But yeah, there's a couple of things. He was already in here, so it's okay. But I'm gonna go for real now, and we'll continue this tomorrow. So if you guys wanna, you know, you can show up tomorrow. We'll keep talking. But I am gonna get out of here. So appreciate everybody. I just appreciate all the love and the support. You guys are the best as always. And without you, I'd have nothing, and I'd have nobody to talk to. So it's not his name. The B word. Yeah, so yeah, appreciate that. If you didn't hit the like button, just make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And shout out to anybody that was new and subscribed. If you did, thank you for that very much. And we'll talk and we'll speak with each other tomorrow. Again, 8:15 p.m. British Standard Time. I do that because it's easier, I guess, to convert for the rest of you, since nobody else lives in America besides me. So. You know, and Steph says, great show, everyone. Hopefully catch y'all tomorrow. Yeah, hopefully we see you around, Steph. And everybody else. Cheers, Lyle. And Lyle says, cheers, Eric, and all you Reds. Yep, cheers to all of you. Everybody have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy, be good. Get some good sleep as well. At some point, you need some good sleep. Make sure you get that. And GMT, Greenwich, means meantime. Listen, I don't know. I just whatever. BST, British Standard Time, UK time, GMT, whatever it's got to be. I don't know. Whatever it's got to be. I don't know. I tried to pick one. There's like 18 different names. You get the point. Whatever. You get the point. You know the time by now. We should be all right. We should be all right. I say it for the new people, you know. But yeah, everybody take care. Be good. And stay safe. And thank you for the support. 9 p.m. SAST, South African Standard Time. GNT is better. Cheers. Well, I don't know. Let's change it then. All right. Good night, guys. Love you. Thank you very much. We'll speak tomorrow.